out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You are tuning in to Apartment 5B podcast hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad with me in effect. We already know who's back on strike for the 10th time this year. Porsche, what's going on?
How's it going? It's good to be here. I'm sorry I'm not on camera. Soon. Don't worry. It's nice to be here though.
Yo, niggas just love to just kidnap your show and hold it hostage, you know. And we talked about this on my people's joint, Where's Buffy? We don't have hip-hop groups anymore that break up. We just have hip-hop podcasts that break up. Like, every good hip-hop podcast always breaks up, and Portia's just following along with the mold of she's not getting paid enough. And I totally understand. I don't pay everybody anything. So, I mean, that could be a problem. So, JR, what's going on with you, good brother?
Going on, feeling good, man. Holidays is coming up, but I'm feeling good being with y'all. You know what I mean?
No doubt. I appreciate you making the time. Eddie, what's going on, good brother?
Yeah. So you see, R&B album coming soon. I'm gonna be working with my man JR. I'm gonna be working with my man JR to get all the stuff together.
I'm telling you, last week Rel was on here looking like, what do you call himself? Rel Tresvan? Like,
yeah, bro.
I don't even know who y'all two may be forming to do. Oh shit, y'all do kind of could do the Christian thing from Rockefeller. Like, you kind of got that look, bro. Like, yo, let me find out. JR's a hell of a manager too. He will fight. He will fight for you to the death.
You're not gonna stop this.
There's JR right there because he will fight for you to the death. Vegas, what's going on? Brooklyn in the building. What's good, bro?
You're right about the breakups of the podcast, because this year I broke up with myself. Now I'm back.
Yo, here's the funny part. This boy broke up with himself, got podcast of the year, and came back. Ain't nothing better to bring somebody back.
Right.
The gold album or a Grammy.
Hey.
Like, yo, fuck this group, man. Oh, word, we want a Grammy? Oh, yeah, new album coming out 2023. We are back in the studio right now as we speak. We did not think we were going to get the Grammy.
Well, right? It was all a plan. One thing that was interesting, right? So when I did the final podcast, nobody believed me. The fucking numbers didn't go down, nothing. It's just, I was like, oh, niggas just waiting for the next episode. Okay. So I was like,
bro,
all right.
You know what? The retirement thing in hip hop has never worked. Like, really, truth be told, Joe Buttons is the only person I know who retired and really stuck to that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was a time when Timbaland was talking about he retiring, fucking Mad Skills was retiring. We had Mad Skills retiring. We got like mid-level MCs retiring from the game. You know what I mean? You got Jay retiring. We got Mad Skills retiring. It's like, and nobody ever retires, and everybody always comes back. You know what I mean? Except Joe Button, because that Joe had that bag. That's the thing. Like, if you got that bag on the other side, it's like, yo, I really don't have to come back.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. But I'm glad hip hop, you know, you are back in the building. And again, congrats on winning that hip hop podcast of the year award. That's very
deserving.
Dope, very deserving too. Y'all know what it is. It is the best of 2022. We are looking at our top 5 albums that disappointed us, albums that surprised us, slept on albums. Who's the MC of the year? Who's the producer of the year? R&B and hip hop. How many mics do we give this year? And what are we looking forward to in 2023? Porsche, what are your top 5 albums of the year? Even if they're not in order, I just need to know which your number 1 is.
Okay, I will not put them in order, but I'll tell you what my number 1 is, if that makes sense. So number 1 will be in its rightful place. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got Zeitgeist, Elzai's Joint. If Cocaine Could Talk 7, Nino's Revenge by RJ Payne. I got Blue and Fat Lip, Live from the End of the Earth. And King's Disease 3. And my number one album this year that it's Ransom's No Rest for the Wicked. And this is the thing with me. I've tried to be really, really hard on Ransom because I just feel like he's so good that you can be. You can expect a lot from him. He always delivers. I cannot with the amount of quotables that's in this album. I'm trying to pick a favorite song, and I'm like, yeah, but I love this one, but I love that one. It is a no skip, stellar album. It is stellar. I just can't give it 5 mics because it's just too new, but wow. It's just wow for me, that album.
Now, here's the wild part. This is why I love doing this show. I had no idea that Blue and Fat Lip even knew each other, let alone had an album together. So again, people watching is why I love tuning in with these great individuals I'm blessed to have up here because I learn new stuff every week. So if you can, and I know this wasn't in the notes, but if you can, that's cool. If not, I get it. What are your favorite songs off each of these albums? So Porsche, what would be your favorite song? I know you just said with Ransom, you can't really pick one.
Ransom is, I love Compromised. I love, literally any one of them. Pick any one and it's my favorite because I can't single it out. But I can tell you on Zeitgeist, on Elzai's Joint with Georgia Ann Muldrow. I love Nefertiti. I love that song. On If Cocaine Could Talk 7, RJ's Joint, I love Nino Lives. RJ is amazing at just this story and then making it almost like an audio movie. He's just so good. So Nino Lives, I love that one. On Blue and Fat Lip's Joint, man, I've got a lot. Hollywood Celebrity, I love. We're gonna stop right there. We're gonna stop right there before you do a Jodeci. I'll pick one. I will go with Good for the Soul. And the reason I love that one is because there's a sample from, there's a big sample on there that he used so amazingly that I just love. So it's an extended version, so it's a pretty long song and it's amazing. So that one, Good for the Soul.
Okay. All right. Dope. I'm going to set it off. My number 5 album of the year, Cheat Codes, Black Thought and Danger Mouse. Number 4, favorite song off of that is Aquamarine. Love the whole album, but Aquamarine. Number 4, Mr. Morales and the Big Steppers, Kendrick. My number 1 song on there is Count Me Out. Number 3, I have King's Disease 3 by Nas. Favorite song, Reminisce. I love that whole, and I don't like to really reminisce because the way we living right now is really lit. We talked about that on the Spaces. I feel like that's the quotable that I feel like folks should really look at their life at, on some shit like, yo, if you always reminiscing, you got what we gonna do to be able to talk about shit we doing right now? You know what I mean? Because you should be, that's where you should be. I don't like to reminisce because the way we living right now is really lit. The shit I can do now, I couldn't do 10 years ago. So I'm not living 10 years ago in the past. I'm not living 20 years ago in the past. I'm not living talking about what we used to do in the hood in Philly, what we used to do at Morgan. I'm talking about what the fuck we doing right now because life is so fucking good. You know what I mean? And I think that that's a quote that people really need to kind of balance their life off of. Yo, if you always talking about the good old days, fuck the good old days. What can you do now with your life to change it so that you can be like, nah, the way we living right now is really lit. My number 2 joint, that was number 1 for the bulk of the year. It's Almost Dry, Pusha T. I know a lot of people weren't feeling this album. My first couple of listens, I wasn't really feeling it. Like I said in some previous eps, once I saw some interviews, Push was saying how Kanye just loves, him when he just does Pusha, and I think that's one of the reasons why everybody loved Daytona, because it was just Ye and Pusha doing Pusha. And he said Pharrell would really challenge him, yo, you just always gonna be a mixtape rapper, let's try some different things. So that's why on different songs he has different flows. He's in this song we was watching, he said during the making of the whole album, him and Pharrell would just be watching the Joker. the movie, and he was saying like, you need to get the character, like you need to do different things. So I remember the first time hearing it, and I'm like, yo, why is he rhyming like that? Why is he using that voice? But then once kind of understanding how it came together, I enjoyed it even more. And my number one album of the year is Soul Separately by Freddie Gibbs. I absolutely love this album. I literally have taken the time to really, really, really learn every word. Like I can rap Dark Hearted with him the way I used to be able to rap Ain't No Half Stepping with Kane, or Ain't No Joke with Rakim, and songs like that. I mean, I truly love this album right here. So that's my 5, and my number one song on this is Dark Hearted, and on the Pusher joint is Hear Me Clearly. So that's what I got. JR, what's up with your top 5 of the year?
I got mine is all R&B stuff. 5 is Mary with Good Morning Gorgeous, and my favorite song on it is Love Without a Heartbreak. 4 is V Cartier with this EP, Frequency, and my favorite is Take You There. 3 is Sergio Before It's Too Late. My favorite song is You. India Shawn, Before We Go Deeper. Caught in the Middle is my favorite, and Beyonce's Renaissance, and my favorite song is Virgo's Groove.
Okay. Now here's the thing: we have to take a 20-second time out with you because 4 of the people I've never even heard of. So, who was your number 5?
Mary.
All right, Mary. I've heard of Mary. I think I've heard of Number 4.
V Cartier.
All right, V Cartier. Who is this person?
I was just introduced to him a couple of months ago. He's from Cali, and he's like he's been out for a minute, but I was just introduced to him and his music, and he has like that house type of vibe that he's been doing. He's his own producer. He plays saxophone and all that. But his Frequency EP is dope. From beginning to end, I would recommend everybody check it out for real.
Now,
I cannot stop playing it.
Now here's the thing: I'm gonna ask you to do something that I hate when people do, but I'm gonna ask you to do it. Who would you compare him to? Who is he in the vein of? So it's like if you like D'Angelo, you would like him. Or if you like this person, you would like him.
You know what? I don't think he's like anybody, and that's why I think he's great. To be honest, because he don't remind me of nobody. He got his own style for real. So,
now who's the next person? Sergio Tacchini.
Sergio, yes.
Sergio, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Did you say Sergio?
What y'all know about Sergio Tacchini sweatsuits out there, man?
You a fool.
is that the
but
same?
No, Sergio, I talked to...
Going Gartrell. Nah, Sergio Tacchini was real. I don't know if that was thing in Brooklyn. In Philly, we rock Sergio Tacchini sweatsuits. Like, if you came in school with a Sergio Tacchini sweatsuit, you was the nigga. Like, me and my man Nate used to switch the hoodies. I'd be like, yo, let me wear your hoodie and you wear mine and freak it. So yeah, Sergio Tacchini used to do the shit. But Sergio.
Yeah, I talked about him on the show when we did our 2020 joint. And I talked about his album. Yo, he's from Cali as well. And he's dope. Like, he can sing and all that stuff. And his instrumentation on his album is crazy. So this was his second album. So I really was digging it when it came out in March. So
and was there one more before you got to Beyonce?
India Shawn. India Shawn, she's dope. She's been out since 2012, and she's worked with what's the guy that worked with Justin and James? God, what is his last name? It starts with an F.
Don't give me a lie.
Yeah. Well,
but
him.
It's dope.
Yes.
Okay.
and she works with D Miles. She's down with him with Lucky Day and all that, and. Yo, she had a dope album before we go deeper, and Caught in the Middle is just so dope. And her album is dope, so I recommend everybody check her out. And she can sing for real, so she's dope. So India Shawn, I've been rocking too. So
that's what's up. Christian, what we going on? What we got next, man? Oh, yo, Rel, what's going on, Rel? You and Eddie are about to form an R&B group. Just FYI for y'all.
Oh my God.
You know what it is. Rel Tresvant in the building.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Eddie over here looking like Christian, like up in smoke. So we just like it's popping right now. So what you got for us, good brother?
All right. So my number 5, I got I Am God in the Black Depths. Murder Castle, and I guess my favorite joint on there is Murder One. I love how they interpolated that How High hook or the hook from Meth Verse on High How High. The shit was dope. I also have the Elzai and Georgia Ann Muldrow joint. That's my number 4. And my favorite song from that is King Shit. I got the rapper Big Pooh album. That's my number 3. To Dream in Color. And I would say if I gotta pick one, I go with LS 400. That's a dope track. I got my number 2 is Black Thought and Danger Mouse, Cheat Codes. And I'll go with The Darkest Part featuring Raekwon. And Nas King's Disease 3 is my number 1. And I got the same joint as I was going back and forth between Thun and Reminisce, but Reminisce lately has been like, that shit's been hitting lately, man. So I'm going with Reminisce.
Yeah, man. It's funny. It's made me go back and listen to Mary even more. Like, and just like, yo, like this song just, you remind me, was so crazy. You know what I mean? So, very dope joint, very dope joint. Vay, what you got up for your top 5, man?
All right. So for my top 5, no order, I have Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. This is probably cheating, but they did.
It's okay, Veg. Everybody cheats. Ask Porsche. She's just Jodeci all day. You know.
But he added this
song. Strike again?
Yeah, I don't even know why it's shocking anymore at this point, bro. Yeah, she on strike again.
My bad.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool, Veg. Sorry about that.
No problem. I think The Heart Part 5 is my favorite. Just because it set the tone, they eventually added it to the album as they should.
Oh yeah,
dope record. Pusha T, and my favorite joint off of there was Call My Bluff. I don't know what it is about that joint. I just feel like that shit just knocked. It's dope. Like, I just love it.
And see, that was the one that when I first heard it, I was like, why is he rapping like that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was one of the ones where he was explaining, like, Pharrell was like, you gotta get in the character, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It just kind of clicked for me right then. It was like, oh, okay, like, and now I love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it works.
Because did it feel weird for you? Because it felt like it just made sense when they said it. Because it felt like on the Kanye stuff, it's the Pusha we all love. But then on the Pharrell joints, I was kind of like, but then when they kind of explained it, it made more sense to me. Did you feel like that when you were listening to the album at first?
Well, when I first heard it, I was like, this album's okay.
Right. That's how I felt too.
But then it grew on me, and what I didn't know that about his process. I thought he sound more like Clips, Pusha T, on the Pharrell tracks, because they kind of did mess with flows when it came to that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what I liked about it, because it was a blend of both versions of Pusha T.
Right.
And it's just an excellent follow-up to Daytona, man. Daytona, I call that a classic, because I can't believe how many times I spun that shit, like, for a long ass time. So, Freddie Gibbs, Soul Separately, my favorite joint off there is Couldn't Be Done. When I heard that record, I was like, I don't give a fuck what Benny says. I don't care how many times he jumped this nigga. He's doing a Rick Ross. We don't care, nigga. This shit is
right.
Focus on your music, fam. So, like, just the way it opens the album, you just like, the music's more important.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Black Thought, Cheat Code with Danger Mouse. I didn't know what to expect. The preview got me. And then when I heard the album, I was like, shit, this might be the best one. My favorite track off of there is No Gold Teeth. Shit just does not get old to me at all every time I hear it. And the last one I have is Nas, King's Disease. And my favorite changes on this album all the time, man. So one minute is Thun, next minute is Legit. But I'm gonna go with First Time, because I really like what he's saying, and I think it's relatable whether you're older or younger. Because I've been watching a lot of these, YouTube videos, the authentic ones, where the younger cats, who've never heard certain records, and they had, right? But they're just younger, and they hear some of this old Nas shit, and they're like, God damn. Like, when I saw this one kid listening to Ether for the first time, like, I had to screenshot this shit because homie had to stop the fucking record because of what was being said, and I was like, that's hip hop, regardless of your age, the time. He has the context to know what was going on. But I like First Time because I felt like he wasn't just talking to us, hearing him for the first time. He's also talking to, young cats who might be hearing this record for the first time. So, but that was my 5.
All right, no doubt. Bro, Tresvan, what we got going on your side, bro?
Bro, Tresvan in the building. Why you making that face, Jay?
He tried to show up.
I've been trying to get this dude in the studio for 20 years, and bro, we may have to do an R&B joint while we in it.
Oh nah, it's coming. Yeah, definitely.
There you go. This nigga singing
I cannot with y'all tonight.
You know a nigga is old when he says bust a rhyme. Like that, I don't know if you can date yourself any more than, Rel, come over, bust a rhyme. Like, I think that's about the biggest, that's the datest of date that you can tell a nigga, like, yo, Kel, we thought you was young until you told a nigga to bust a rhyme. Like, yeah. But what you got for yourself, Rel?
Number 5, Tenor Talk 4, Benny the Butcher. My favorite joint on there is Uncle Bun with my nigga 38 Special. Number 4, Black Thought, Chico's Aquamarine is an amazing song, man. That's been my favorite since I first heard the album, and it's still my favorite off of that joint. I'm gonna go with the Freddie Gibbs joint, man. I was thoroughly impressed with this joint, man. Like, for real, I wasn't even a Freddie Gibbs fan at all. Like, I didn't really listen to him. That was a well put together album, man. And I think, what is it? My favorite joint was the joint with Push, the Gold Rings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So from Dark Hearted, Gold Rings, and the joint that comes after that, I literally know every lyric, and I enjoy rapping to it. And it's like, I think that's the part, and I don't know how y'all feel. I don't know how often people are able to do that anymore, but that used to be the fun of hip hop to me in the 80s. Taking the time to really learn a song, and when it comes on, I'm like rapping like every word. I feel like even now when we're at concerts, everybody got their phone up. I don't even know people are rapping with. Again, it just brings me back. That was the joy of hip hop for me, was learning the words. When it came on, being on the bus with your Walkman on, being able to rap in. I just always challenge people, like, if you can't do that with, especially songs that are some of on your favorite album, you know what I mean? Then, I just challenge folks, listen to your favorite albums more, because you should be able to do that. But I used to, when Criminal Minded was my favorite album in 86 and 87, trust me, I could rap along with Chris on every song on Criminal Minded, every song with Eric B. and Rakim. And I just feel like we're almost speed dating hip hop just because of the amount of music that comes out. But it's like, if something is really your album of the year, come on, y'all gotta be at least able to spit one song, for it to really, if you love it that much. So again, I get it.
At least the verse.
So much is going on, but like, I literally was on a train coming back from New York, just hitting back, just going back, Dark Hearted. Let me listen again. I ain't cheating. Naomi done showed me, Daddy, stop doing that. Just look at the lyrics. I'm like, nah, fuck that. I'm old. I just want to, I'm going to learn it myself. I'm not listening to the lyrics. I know they list the lyrics, but I want to do it the old school way. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love the album so much, is because I can rap along. So I'm with you on the Freddie. And I love how it's put together. Like, I don't even like interludes. Y'all know I fucking hate an interlude. I love the interludes on Freddie's album.
That Jeff Ross interlude had me laughing.
Yeah,
and then to find out that Freddie Gibbs was actually doing a comedy show. Like, there's footage of him doing a comedy show. So it's funny that he had that interlude with Jeff Ross talking about that shit. So,
yeah. And what else you got, bro?
Well put together album. I want to touch on something you said real quick though about learning lyrics. Like, I just remember, like, when I was a young boy, like, that was like the thing. Like, we wanted to learn They Want Effects. We wanted to memorize that. Like, me and my friends, like, that was like a big thing. Like, what I'm saying, learning all the words to that. Like, yeah, that's something that's like kind of lost now, man. Like, that was like a big thing for us, like learning the words to like our favorite songs or whatever. Where I'm at. Number 2 is Almost Dry. Push. My favorite is Just So You Remember. that song's crazy. He went crazy on that, man. And number one is King's Disease 3, and my favorite kind of been switching. Reminisce was my favorite at first. I really am liking WTF SMH. The beat switch on that is
That beat switch, yeah.
beat switch is crazy. Yeah. So right now that's my favorite joint on that one. So
no doubt. And again, just for this Freddie Gibbs, I don't know if folk at home have the actual CD or the album, but I mean they actually have it where it's a casino.
Oh shit!
The whole joint of the album is you're at a casino, so it's like visiting game floors and just everything about the whole casino thing. The CD is actually a Vegas chip, that's on the table. So it's like it just well put together,
really
incredible. And I was just with Rel. I always knew Freddie was tough, but I was never a Freddie fan. You know what I mean? I explain to people all the time. Just because I'm not your fan doesn't mean I don't like you. To me, a fan is like I buy your album, I want to go to your show, I buy your merch. Now after this, I'm all in on Freddie. I'm all in. Yeah. All right, let's talk about albums. Give me one album that surprised you this year. You weren't expecting it to be dope, and it was doper than what you thought it was. And then we'll dig into our slept on album. You know what? I apologize. Does anybody have any R&B outside of JR? All right, let me give my top 5 R&B real quick. I got
afterthought.
What? What'd you say?
Y'all making that like an afterthought, and then y'all just like, no. Y'all weren't listening to no R&B at all.
I didn't make it an afterthought.
I know you didn't, Kill.
Okay, I'm about to say, only JR can give me for having a list. Like,
first of all, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the ones at the bottom. Them.
Oh,
I don't have 5.
So we them now. Okay.
Damn. I'm talking about them.
All right. Before we start a world war up here real quick, let me just go through mine. I got Gemini Rights, Steve Lacy. If y'all follow me on Twitter, you know Naomi has turned me into a Steve Lacy fan. My favorite song on here is Helmet. Raven Lene, who is produced by Steve Lacy, who Naomi has put me on to again. Her album, Hypnos. My favorite song on there is a song called Skin Tight featuring Steve Lacy.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, the joint is very dope. And to be honest, JR, I can't take credit because I only got 3 because to me it wasn't a lot. And I got Renaissance. Not really what I was expecting because to me this is the club album. This is you with your homegirls is going out. This is their album and everything like that. But I love the No ID produced Church Girl. I love Church Girl. To me, No ID killed that beat. I can listen to that shit on repeat. But those are the 3, and you see that 2 of those I had to be put on to by my 17-year-old daughter. All right, so album that surprised you, Porsche. What is one album that surprised you that it was as good as it was, or you just enjoyed it that much?
This is gonna be weird, but I'm going with Cheat Codes, Black Thought and Danger Mouse. And the reason is that I wasn't expecting that pairing to be as dope as it was. But again, I feel like I should have just put my faith in Black Thought. I know how dope he is. I know he's gonna put together a very dope album. So that one actually really surprised me that I enjoyed it as much as I did. I actually love that album, and I love that you guys have it on your top list, all of you. So yeah.
All right. I would say the album that surprised me the most this year is the Liz 2 by Armani Caesar. I really wasn't expecting anything from Armani. I listened to the first joint. It was cool. Very, reminded me a lot of Lil' Kim on the first album. Not to say that she doesn't remind me of her again, but what I do like about Armani is like you look at her and you think she's gonna be rhyming like a Meg Thee Stallion and all of that, and she's not. You know what I mean? She does have songs like that, but I feel like she's kind of like the female. She's Griselda. She's just like the female Griselda person. I love her flow. And even after listening to Liz 2, I kind of went down a rabbit hole on YouTube with her, just like different interviews and finding out more about her. But the Liz too, and she's got the joint called $100 Hiccup with Benny the Butcher and Stove God Cooks, and that shit is
crazy.
That shit is fucking stupid. You know what I mean? So I think it's been a minute, in my opinion at least, when you've had an attractive female who rhymes, and is not rhyming about sex all the time. You know what I mean? But it's actually spit. You know what I mean? So that album definitely surprised me. Because I think I've been put on Twitter. I'm like, yo, everybody's talking about this Rome Streets and this West Side Gun album. Ain't nobody talking about the Liz 2. And I personally enjoy Liz 2 more than Rome Streets. But that's a whole nother, I don't feel like bringing the streets out tonight. So I don't even feel like dealing with that. Because the fact that none of us is named Rome Streets in our top 5, that's going to be a whole nother problem on Twitter on Monday. But neither here nor there. JR, what was the album that surprised you this year?
Actually, Beyonce's Renaissance. It surprised the shit out of me because I didn't like Break My Soul at all. Like,
I don't think anybody, when that thing dropped, really was like,
like
it felt like a broke CC Peniston record, like
right, like a Robin S record, like it's just, like I was just like, this is not doing nothing for me. So I was like, this is the route she's taking. I was like, oh, so she's following a lot of people that been on this sound already. But I was like, all right, cool. But then when she came out with the album, I was like, oh shit, this shit is dope. Like, except one song, but other than that, I was like, yeah, this I fuck with it. But yeah, it surprised the shit out of me because I wasn't expecting to like a whole Beyonce album, to be honest with you.
All right, no doubt. Ghetto Cyrano, what do you have for you, the album that surprised you? Ghetto Cyrano, wasn't that the name of the Chris John album?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Ghetto Cyrano.
So the album that surprised me the most is Drill Music in Zion by Lupe Fiasco.
I didn't even know Lupe had an album.
Wow.
So let me tell you, man, like what the thing about Lupe, right? He's gonna hit you over the head with bars, right? And the last few albums is just been way too cerebral and way too bar heavy for me that he's kind of lost the replay value. This album has the bars, but it's not overboard, and it's a shorter album. It's like, I think it's like 10 or 11 tracks, but it's dope. Like, it's actually gonna have replay value. Like, the songs are thought out. It's a nice balance. It's a very well balanced, and production wise, it's more kind of jazzy, like jazz samples and stuff like that. So the title could throw people off because you think drill music, you think of a particular sound, but it's actually dope. It impressed me a lot.
All right, no doubt. Veg, what about you? What album surprised you?
The album that's probably surprised me the most was Cormega, The Realness 2. Obviously, I like the Testament and I like the Realness. That's kind of where my fandom with Cormega basically stopped. And to do a sequel to the album that made me actually like him as an MC, I was like, nah, I don't know, man. It's been a long time. You're not even that guy anymore, like mentally. But I think he pulled it off. I think the best thing to do when you're doing a sequel, to me, that's been successful for like Raekwon and people like that, is to complement the original, not duplicate it, but complement it in a way. Show that it's that, but just a little bit above that, or something's different about it to make it its own. And I was surprised at how much I liked it, because I was just going through songs waiting to be like, yeah, this shit garbage. But I think it made one of his.
What and you kind of explained it, but if you can go a little deeper, like I like that. Don't replicate it, but compliment it. Like, could you go a little more in depth about that? Like, what do you mean? Like, even on this album, but if Redman, if you get invited to the studio for Redman's Muddy Waters 2 that we've been waiting on 852 years for, how would you explain to him to compliment but not replicate it?
I think what people want, people will think that they want more of the same until they get it and they don't like it because it's not the same, right? I would tell Redman, well, what was it about the album that's not on the surface? What's the essence of the album that people are attracted to as a whole? Try to recapture that. Like, for example, I mean, most people know I'm a big Star Wars fan. Shit, I got lightsabers and shit over there. But like with The Mandalorian, right? The reason why The Mandalorian works in some of those new Star Wars movies didn't is because the showrunner said, we don't want to duplicate what was great about Star Wars because people will never like it because it's not the original Star Wars. We want to create the thing that inspired Star Wars. And in doing that, you're making Star Wars, right? Because these are the things that inspired it. So for me, that's how it has to be. It has to be, well, you know, him just being self-aware of why do people like this album? Why do people like me? You know, do I have to take a step back? No, I just have to capture what was dope about that record and just upgrade it a little bit for today. So I was really shocked. I didn't think it was going to be garbage, but I just didn't think it was necessary. But it turned out to be the third core Mega album that I like. So
here's the thing with Mega. I don't know if I've ever wanted to like an MC as much as I want to like Mega. Like, he just doesn't do it for me. Like, it's the flow. Like, I don't know. But I want to like him because, like, I see interviews with him. I'm like, yo, this dude is really, he seems like a good dude. Like, when I'm watching his interviews, I'm learning stuff. I'm like, yo, fuck it. I know I don't like him. I'm listening to the realness too. And I'm like, I can't do it. It's like somebody who's trying to like meat and they just can't do it. Like, I want to eat a cheesesteak with all my friends, but I just can't eat meat. Like, I want to like Mega so much. But I mean, I feel, and I'm glad that people do. Like, I'm glad because he seems like a really good dude, and I love seeing good people win. So, you know, I'm happy so many people do fuck with Mega because he just seems like a good all-around good dude. And I'm gonna ask, I gotta write this down. I got a question for you. I'm gonna ask about Mega off camera. Rel, what about you? Who surprised you?
I had the same one as you. Armani Caesar album. Like I don't even know what made me listen to it for real. Like, I wasn't gonna listen to it. But to be honest, like, yo, it's a good album, man. Like, sitting on there, like, I was just wait.
You breaking up a little.
Hold on.
All right, you back.
Yeah, they were talking about the wrong streets joint and all that, but I felt like hers was better. Like, I enjoyed it more. You know what I'm saying? Like, $100 Hiccup, Survivor of the Littest. Like, yo, she got some good shit on there, man. I was impressed and thoroughly surprised. You know what I'm saying? So I give her a props. That was a good album.
All right, no doubt. Porsche slept on albums this year. What are 3 albums that you think people need to hear about that you don't hear people really buzzing about?
I got okay. Beast Mode 5, Chic Luch. Listen, I love Chic, and I'm kind of mad at myself that I don't talk about Chic as much as I should, for that I appreciate him. And when I do listen to his albums, I really enjoy them. And I don't know if I'm alone on this. I don't hear anybody talking about Chic ever, but Beast Mode 5 is dope. Like, he's got Styles on a joint, he's got Jada Kiss on another joint, he's got a lot of there's a lot of featured MCs, but I think Chic knows that that's like, it's all complimentary to him, and then it makes for a very good, dope overall project. And I think for that reason, people should definitely check out Beast Mode 5. And he has the whole Beast Mode series, so 1 through 5, but I haven't, to be really honest, I haven't listened to every single one. I wish I could say that I have, but Beast Mode 5 is great. And it's a lot of, I think, the same, because I've listened to a couple of them, and it's all dope. Like, Chic's gonna give you a very solid project. And with this one, I love that Jada was on a joint. I love that Styles was on a separate joint. He didn't just shove everybody together. He kind of spaced it out. So for that, I got Beast Mode 5 on there. I have Anakin's Frank album, or Fly Anakin, sorry. I actually said his freaking Twitter name. Sorry, guys. Frank is his debut album, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. I've seen a lot of posts about it, and I think there was a bit of a I don't know. There's a span of time where I saw a lot, about it, and then not so much. So for me, I really enjoyed it. I think his flow is great. Good bars, very good, solid project. So that one, and then AZ Do or Die too. It's exactly what Vegas said. It's complementary to the first one. I love hearing AZ again. So yeah, those are my three.
All right, no doubt. I have got 7 Shots, 38 Special. I think 38 Special is just a dope MC. I think he's got a dope flow, dope voice. My favorite joint on there was Holy Spirit. I got Tana Talk 4, Benny the Butcher. Seemed like this album kind of flew under the radar. I know it was a lot of when Johnny P's Caddy came out. It seemed like it had a lot of push to it, but it seemed like, and I mean, maybe this may just be the I feel like this is just the tide of hip hop. Albums drop and then they just disappear. You know what I mean? I do feel like it was slept on. I'm not a fan of this boy, but I'm not mad at this album, Cockadrillo Turbo by Action Bronson. I think just one night I was up. What happened?
I said that's funny because I did not like that joint.
Yeah, this is why I mean music speaks to us all. But see, maybe I've never been a Bronson fan, and I kind of was like, and again, I think it's the expectations. If you really fuck with Bronson, you may not fuck with this. I don't fuck with Bronson. I was like, this ain't that bad. You know what I mean? So it may just be like, when I come into an Action Bronson album, I'm literally expecting that. I probably was just bored as shit one night. Seriously, like for me to listen to Action Bronson, it had to just be like, fuck, I want some new music. Fuck it. Let me just roll the die. It's free. What's up, Eddie?
I was going to ask you, since you named that Tana Talk 4, would you consider that album that it met your expectation?
You know what? That's a good point. Because I'm sitting here talking about Tana Talk 4, and I'm like, I really need to put this on my disappointed list. So let's just act like I didn't say Tana Talk 4, because we're going to come back to that on a disappointed list. So I'm going to go with 7 Shots, Cockadrillo Turbo, Action Bronson. And here's the one that's just going to throw everybody, because I've never been, I don't know, I think I just miss Philly. I don't know if that's what it is. Yo, Flame Was 5 by Meek Mills. I don't even fucking believe this. This is the second year in a row that I've liked the Meek Mills album. I've never really fucked with Meek my entire life. Expensive Pain was my shit last year. Flame Was 5. I love this shit. I really just think it's because I miss Philly. And Meek, really reminds me of Philly. Like, I don't know, Vegas, if you had that MC that just reminds you of Brooklyn. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people have that, but with Meek and Dark Low, like when I miss Philly, I listen to Meek and Dark Low. Like those are the 2 MCs that I think just capture the essence of Philadelphia. But yeah, Flame Was 5. So those are my slept on joints. JR, any slept on albums this year that people need to know about?
Yes. The first one is Marigold by Alex Isley. Her and Jack Dine is just like magic to me, and I don't see a lot of people really talking about this album, but yo, if you are an Alex Isley fan, this album is dope. My favorite song is 105. Like her voice is just heaven, for real. So I would definitely have people check that out. Black Radio 3, Robert Glasper. Yo, like nobody, when it came out, I was like, why isn't more people talking about this? Like he got like everybody on it, and all the songs are great. You know what I mean? So my favorite joint is with Forever with PJ Morton and India Arie. And somebody that I don't think y'all probably don't know, Sam Henshaw. He did an album Untidy Soul, and he's from the UK. And I've been on him since like 2018. Like he's dope. He worked with is it Earth Gang? Is that his name?
Earth Gang?
Yeah. Earth Gang. Yes, he did a song with him entitled Church.
You know what? I think it is, what's his name that you just said?
Sam Henshaw.
I think one of the things, and maybe it's just me, these people need better names. Like, I mean, dead ass. Like, yo,
That's
when you
his
hear
real name.
I fucking
Real
know
name.
it. My real name is Rahman
He is
Kilpatrick,
stage
and I don't go by
Yeah,
that
you
shit.
know.
So I'm just saying, like, there were just names that just grabbed you, like D'Angelo, Maxwell, even Chico DeBarge. That shit said something. Sam Henson sounds like a teacher. Like, literally, when you said his name, I'm like, oh, Mr. Crenshaw at KIPP. Like, that's literally what I thought. Who's a principal at one of my schools, and it's just
Well,
like,
you ain't gonna be able to pronounce his first name because I can't pronounce it.
I'm just saying, we need better stage names. Like, we just need some catchy
But his
shit.
name
Like,
is
what
really
happened to the catchy?
Samuel. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, even back then, Eric Sermon just sounded cool. That shit did not sound like my gym teacher. Like, Keith Murray did not sound. We need catchier names. JR, talk to your R&B people. We need catchier names. We need catchier
Who
names.
else in R&B had catchy names?
Nigga, everybody who you just named, I don't know any of them. I mean, SWV is catchy. Fucking Intro is catchy. They're catchy names, these groups.
Boys to Men is catchy.
Oh god.
Not really.
Like, but Sam Henson, that just shit. Is that the garbage man? Like, nigga, we need catchier names.
Tim Shaw.
I'm just saying, I think
Shaw.
that this is part of the problem. We need catchier names, man.
The album
Like,
is cool,
What happened? The album is dope.
yeah.
And see, you know what it is? That may just be
Thank
DJ
you,
artist.
Jay.
Because remember, I didn't listen to DJ Quick because he had a perm. So maybe I'm just too superficial. So it could just be me. It could just be me. But I do think a catchy name, will grab somebody.
I get it.
What's D'Angelo's real name? Something Archer, Michael Archer.
Larry
Yeah.
is some regular.
Yeah, like I think his name is Michael Archer. Imagine we don't have D'Angelo. Hey, everybody, listen to Michael Archer's new single, Brown Sugar. Like, that's totally different than
I would've been like,
check out
nope.
exactly. Like, check out D'Angelo's new single. Like, it's a spark to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how
It sound like Neo Soul.
with the Temptation
Michael
movie that went through
Eugene,
all those
though.
names, and what was Nobody by Nature's new first name, the New Style. Like, you think of all these rap groups' first names, you like the New Style. Like, nah, but we just need something catchy. Come on, JR, get on your people's radar and help them out with this name.
But his Untitled Soul album is dope, and my favorite joint on it is Grow. So those are my three kind of slept on albums this year for real, because I don't see a lot of people talking about them. So
All right, no doubt. Eddie, what about you?
All right, this first one, maybe y'all may have heard about it, maybe not, but I think they're dope. It's a group called Marlowe, and they dropped their album Marlowe 3. So how I heard Marlowe is Solemn Brigham and La Orange, the producer La Orange. So they're on they're on Mellow Music. So how I found out about them was, I think I caught like a Sky Zoo CD, and they include like stickers and shit, right? So I got this sticker. I was like, yo, this sticker look kind of dope. Like, who is this? Like, who's this? Because their album covers look dope. So I looked it up and I found the artist. I'm like, all right. So when I first heard was like Marlowe 2, and I liked that album. I was like, all right, I like it. This one I really like. Marlowe 3, I really, really like. Like, the dude, he's a real, I would use the word dynamic as far as him emceeing. Like, his flow, it's not stagnant, like it's dynamic, it's all over, like it's bouncy, it's like he keeps you interested, and he's it's dope. Like the production, the orange, it fits him. It's very eclectic, so yeah, it's a dope album, definitely. The next one I got is JID or JID, whatever you call him. He's down with Cole and Dreamville. So it's the Forever Story. So the first project I liked from him was the Never Story. I think that was his debut album. Mm-hmm. And then he dropped another album in between that I didn't necessarily care for too much. So with the Forever Story, I guess that was supposed to be the proper follow-up or part 2, whatever. So I tiptoe with caution, but yo, it's dope. Like, it's back to the JID that I really fucked with from his first album. Like, he just could spit. Like, he's a new school MC, but yo, he just, you listen to him for the bars and the flow and just the wordplay and all that shit. So I got what I came for with that. And this last album is an album that everyone need to listen to. go download, cop, whatever streaming, especially Bandcamp, is I Don't Mind. I Don't Mind by What a Vernon Kill, man. Everyone need to cop that because it's truly dope. Love that project, man. What y'all did, and the concept with it, and all that. Like, this. So going back to a conversation, I think it was on another episode of 5B, how artists don't put thought into what they name their albums, right? This one, it's called I Don't Mind for a reason, and that theme perpetuates throughout the whole album, and it's really dope. So check that out.
And it's featuring Vegas, World Inc. Down there, the only guest feature we had on the album. And like you said, Eddie, I appreciate that. One thing I loved about the album, me and Vern talk probably every 2-3 days a week, and we didn't talk about music. We just talked about life. We both have daughters around the same age, with shit he's going through, shit I'm going through, and he would just pop up the songs like that. So I always challenge people who are working on albums, like, build with each other. Don't let it just be sent tracks and that's it. Sometimes magic can happen like that, but I really think, and me and Vern have never talked that much ever, but he would just call, and we'd end up talking, and it would just, turn into things. So definitely, I'm glad you enjoyed that. Thank you. Babe, what you got for some of your joints, bro?
Real quick, who them said that Vegas don't get lit or busy?
There you go.
I stress up, I get drizzy or drip. Ghost gun, empty the whole clip. Battle scars and battle bars is 3-zip. All right.
Vegas coming for that quarter of the year right there.
Yeah. And I loved it because the crazy thing is me and Vern was like, yo, no guest. And Vegas heard the beat. He was like, yo, I want it. I'm like, let's go. Like, yeah.
I said remix, but these niggas were like, no, it's on the album. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, let's go.
And the way he comes in, and if you didn't know there was a feature, you would think the song was over. And then it's like the fake, the false fade out, and then it comes back in. And Vegas just drops his bars. That shit was dope.
All props to Vern on that. All engineering and everything to Vern.
Salute to Vern, man. Who also shows up on my Best of 22 podcast, along with I Am God. Slept on for me because, I do my research for my podcast, and I've been looking at a couple of lists and obviously listening to some of you guys, and most of these projects, either one or two people may mention them, but for the most part, they don't get mentioned. One, I have rapper Big Pooh, To Dream in Color. First time I heard this joint, I was like, this is one of the best of the year.
Oh,
easy. Like, production, concept, thoughtful lyrics without being too heady, right? Relatable. Just a perfect piece of work, to be honest, that just does not, in the moment, like you said, Kill, right? It felt like in the moment, everybody talked about it. And like a couple days later or a week later, you didn't hear anything. And especially now, it's almost like it didn't happen. And it came out not that long ago. But it's a very dope album. Ransom, No Rest for the Wicked. This man does not get the props he deserves for consistency. He got something coming out tonight. Everything he's released this year, the shits has been hot. But I was highly impressed by this album because I was just like, am I tired of Ransom by now? Because his flow can be a little redundant, but you just don't get tired of it, right? It's just he got unlimited bars. Like he has to be one of them dudes that's, shopping somewhere or taking his kids to school and some bars come in his head and he write it down or try to memorize them like I used to do. But that's what I think I appreciate about him, because it's relatable. Like, I know he just like thinking of shit. So he might be in fucking court, church, and he like, if I say, you know what I'm saying? So his bars just remind me of you, because I used to do this thing where if I wasn't writing daily, if I had a line that came to me, I would just write the lines down on this list on my phone. And then when it came to like Kill, if we're working on the album, then I go to that list and it's like, okay, how many of these joints can I put together in a song? That's what his music reminds me of. but it doesn't sound like it sounds like it has purpose, right? It doesn't sound like a bunch of guys put together. So I really enjoyed his album. The last one I have is Chez Noir, Food for Thought. I think I'm the only motherfucker that heard it because I didn't see, and I wasn't a fan of hers in the beginning. I used to see other people on Twitter talk about her, and I would listen to joints and be like, I don't really care for that one. But I don't know. I think she's getting better. I think she's getting better with the production. I think she's getting better with the bars. She got a joint on there with Armani Caesar and Love the Genius. Shit is crazy. 3 ladies that can spit. You know what I'm saying? And the album as a whole is dope, but I just don't hear much about it. She also has another project out. It came out a couple of weeks ago, but I think this one is way better. So if you want to check it out, check out Chez Noir's Food for Thought. I think it's criminally slept on.
All right, no doubt. Rob, what you got?
Slept on. I got AZ Doa 2. Solid, man. Like when I heard the first single, I was like, man, I don't know if and I'm a huge AZ fan. Like, I don't know if but after I listened to it, it's a good album. The joint he got with Pete Rock is crazy. The joint, The Ritual with Conway and Lil Wayne, that song is crazy. So yeah, it's got some good joints on there. It's slept on. I gotta go with what JR was saying, man. Alex Isley, man. That Marigold is crazy, bro. Like, I don't skip no joints on there, bro. I ain't gonna even hold you. Like, that's a good album. My favorite joint on there is Under the Moon. Like, that shit vibed out, bro. Like, that shit is crazy. So yeah, I think not a lot of people talk about her or talk about that album, but like she got it, bro. She got it. And last joint is the Lupe Drill Music and Zion. Good album. I'm a Lupe fan, so I'm gonna listen regardless. Like, but I know some people, he can be a little too much for some people. I think he did a good job of balancing it in this one in comparison to the last album, which I actually really liked, but I know like it was a bit much. The whole concept of the album was a bit much for the average listener, you know what I'm saying? But this one, I think he found a good balance of, his intricate wordplay, but combining it with, good production and making it digestible and enjoyable, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go with that one. Drill Music and Zion is my third one.
All right, no doubt. Disappointing albums we were looking forward to, didn't do it for us. Porsche, what you got?
The album that disappointed me the most, but I don't know if it's premature to say, is Mount Westmore. And the reason for that is just the lineup on that album. I thought it was going to be just...
What's Mount Westmore?
It's Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Too Short, and MC8, I think. Or
E40. They have an album out?
E40.
Yeah, E40. Sorry, not MC8. E40.
They have an album out.
Yes, called Mount Westmore.
I had. Okay.
It just dropped like a week ago.
Okay.
I'm
thinking Westside Gunn done put out another goddamn album. I'm like, when you said Mount Westmore, like all I heard was Westside Gunn. I'm like, God, this nigga just put out an album.
So the reason why I was disappointed is because if you think about it, this is like West Coast royalty.
And you said Cube. Who else?
It's Cube, Too Short, E40, and Snoop.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, P. I understand what you're saying, but you also gotta take into account if they were in their prime, it would be a different story.
No.
None of them are in their prime.
No. But aside from that, I mean, there's a lot of MCs that we love and still listen to who aren't in their primes but can still knock it out of the park.
That's right. True. That's true.
Right? And you're not each one of them giving you an entire album, you're thinking this is a collab. They're each gonna just knock it. I don't know. For me, I just thought, holy moly, I cannot wait. I heard these guys were together on an album. I was so excited. This was like the album I didn't know I wanted. And then I listened to it and I'm like, okay, this is super dope. And then, I'm like, okay, this is super dope. And then like, as the track list progresses, I'm like, what is happening? Like, it was just, I was like, okay, I can skip this. I can skip this. And then I'm left with, okay, so there was really only like a handful of good, like maybe 3 or 4 really dope joints. And then the bad, like I guess it was just not what I wanted and not what I expected. And I think it fell short and I wish it was better. So
who did the production? Do you know who did the production on it?
I don't. Let me look into it. Hold on.
That's just so crazy. Mount Westmore. Like, never in my life did I think we'd get a Cube, Too Short, E40, and a Snoop Dogg album. Like, I thought I'd win.
The producer is Rick Rock.
Who?
Rick Rock.
On a couple. And then, there's a few producers. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I just wouldn't expect shit from that lineup.
Really?
I know what's coming next too.
I mean, because here's the thing. I haven't heard a good and again, I think one of the things that I'm realizing with me, and I'll ask this question later, I just think the older I'm getting, like I'm not really realizing that like time is so precious to me right now. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like it's hard for me to pull me away from an album like Freddie's that I just really thoroughly enjoy to try to listen to something else. You know what I mean? And I think it's just my old age, even with my weight loss and my calorie count. Like I eat the same. Like I'm a very boring individual when it comes to like how I eat and what I do. It's like a very boring lifestyle. It's the lifestyle that I need to stay the weight and stay my health to get better. And I think it's almost mirrors with the music, because I'll be like, oh, let me, if something doesn't look attractive to me, it's almost like you seeing some food and I don't really even want to try that. I don't even, what it is, like I'm not wasting my calories on that, and it's not good. And I think like it's almost infiltrated the way I listen to music. Like Cube, Too Short, E40, and Snoop. Let's look at number one. I've never been a Too Short or E40 fan, so we could just stop right there. I haven't enjoyed a Snoop album, and I know I've heard he's had dope albums out, but for me, I haven't enjoyed a Snoop album since Doggy Style. And Cube, I probably haven't enjoyed a Cube album since 1993, and it's 2023.
And I'm with you, but I'm like, okay, I love Too Short. I still enjoy Too Short. If Too Short drops a joint, I'm gonna listen to it. E40, I love. I'm here thinking Snoop is gonna be the biggest disappointment, and Snoop's verses are the best on the whole album.
So what's
that
wrong
doesn't
with it?
surprise me though. That
What's
doesn't
wrong with
surprise
it?
me.
I don't.
So Too Short.
The production wasn't dope. I think that a lot of the beats were. I don't know. There was just some vocals on there that
They
sounded.
needed DJ Quick.
Eddie, I was just about to say, with this title, I would have thought Quick would have.
Who didn't suggest that, or who didn't go, and why wasn't Quick involved? Because I just think that, and it's funny because I forgot that it was, like a bunch of producers on there. It wasn't just one producer, and I'm thinking, like it just missed the mark, but it's all of these producers. Like some of the joints were good, don't get me wrong, it's not like terrible, but
it's just disappointing to you from what you expect.
Oh my goodness, it was so disappointing. Like this is like almost teetering, and again, it may be too soon to tell, but this is exactly how I felt when Jadakiss dropped Top 5 Dead or Alive. This is the exact feeling I had, and you guys know where I wrote that album. So I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
All right. Any other joints?
No, that's the only one actually that really disappointed me.
Okay, I got a couple. I got the Elephant Man Bones, Alchemist, and Rock Marcy. And again, when I'm talking about this, I will add a thesis statement. I don't think the album is bad. It's probably 3 to 5, 3.5 for my album. I don't think the album is bad. But if you would have told me that Rock Marcy, who's one of my favorite MCs, is gonna get with Alchemist, I just really would have expected this album to be Five Mics. I would have expected this album to be what the Freddie Gibbs album was to me, where I can't put this down. I felt like Rock Marcy's own production would have been better than Alchemist's production. And that's something I never thought I would ever fucking sit here and say that I'd rather Rock Marcy have produced this album than Alchemist. So again, not that the album is bad, but I just was, it's about expectations. I was expecting a 5 mic. There's somebody else out there who wasn't expecting shit and like, yo, I love this album. So again, not that it's a bad album, but it reminded me it's not nowhere as bad as Lulu. Like when Conway and Alchemist got together, when he dropped Lulu, the year prior to that was like my dream collaboration. Like when we do these shows, it's like, what are you looking forward to that next year? That year before, I was like, give me an Alchemist and Conway produced album. I know that's 5 mics. Lulu came out and I was just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Number 2, Do or Die AZ. Again, I don't think it's a whack album. I think it's a 3.5 album. I think it's a good, very good, close to dope album. But again, when you do that Do or Die too, I love what Vegas said. And I know Vegas said about this for Do or Die. I think you said it, Vegas, but complimenting it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the production. I don't know. I just don't know what it is. Like AZ has just, and we did the show about MCs that just never gave you that 5 mic album. And I just feel like AZ has the talent to make it. And I just don't, I mean, it's easy just to say it's the beats, but I don't know what it is about that. I don't know if he doesn't have enough dope concepts. Like, I don't know if AZ really tells stories. Like, Rel, you're an AZ fan. Like, can AZ tell you a story? Can he give me a shaky dog? Can he give me a, you know, what's the Nas joint, Burn a 50? Or, you know, can he give you, because I feel like what it is with Ace, he's just fucking rapping. And I feel like he's been fucking rapping since 95. And it's just like, it almost falls into a Black Thought category of you're rapping and you're dope and it sounds great, but the fuck are you talking about, my nigga? Like where's the content? Like, you sound dope, and that's dope for 1995. In 1995, that's all you had to do. Nobody knew what the fuck Keith Murray was talking about, but we all loved him in 1995. I don't know if anybody wants a Keith Murray album in 2022 of him just rapping. We didn't know what the fucking most beautifulest thing in the world was, but we was all singing it because that's all you had to do in 1995. Now in 2022, you got to do a little bit more. And I feel like, and I don't know if it's just as easy as, oh, put him in the studio with Pete Rock. I mean, the beats may be good, and I think that this is where it comes down to making good songs. Mm-hmm. I think AZ has the bars, and Pete may have the good beat, but are they making good songs? You know what I mean? So again, not a whack album. I just expected more. I always expect more whenever it's a part 2. You know what I mean? Because I always feel like this is like we fucked up and we gonna give y'all what you want. Like, it's always Built for Cuban Links Part 2, Muddy Waters Part 2, Iron Man, Supreme Clientele Part 2. So I'm always feeling that way about Part 2. The next disappointing one, Fear of Time by Black Star. I waited 23
I gotta put that
years for this album. And Eddie and Porsche almost fucking jumped me at Roy and Ollie because I gave it a 3.5. They was like, yo, nigga, what the fuck? Like, I was
I remember that.
No,
I got jumped on my own show.
I was saying it needs to be a 1.
This is trash. Eddie was like, it's a 1 mic album. Porsche is like, Porsche and Evan, Eddie all jumped me. Like, nigga,
no. I said I gave it an incomplete. That's what it was.
Yeah, that nigga gave it an incomplete. This nigga became a fucking law professor and gave it incomplete. But again, it just didn't sound like, it just sounded off. It sounded like most didn't want to be in there. I'm like, yo, I know Madlib got doper beats than this. You know, people are like, oh, well, maybe these are just the beats that they picked. I don't know, but you just don't wait 23 years for that. Tana Talk 4, Benny the Butcher. Anybody knows Benny is probably one of my favorite. Him and Conway goes back and forth. I can't even pick which one, but I love Benny. And I just think, again, for this, you're going back to Tana Talk 3, where you're getting half Derringer, half Alchemist. And again, I'm like, yo, this shit is gonna be crazy. And again, it was just good. You know what I'm saying? And the last one is Hip Hop 50 Volume 1 by DJ Premier.
Yeah.
This is DJ Premier's closest thing we've ever gotten to a Soul Survivor from Premier, where he's doing production for other people, and this was so lackluster. This was just, you talk about something coming and going. This like dropped, and like if it dropped at midnight, that shit, nobody was talking about that shit by noon the next day. Like it was like the song he had with Nas was so like, that song would have not even made one of the Hit Boy and Nas albums. That wouldn't even made a King's Disease album. And this is what I mean. When people out there, when King's Disease 3 top drops, and it's like, yo, we want Premier. We want, nigga, y'all just got Nas and Premier. And I ain't heard one motherfucker say shit about that song. Y'all wanted Nas and Premier all these years. Y'all motherfuckers should be talking about that song all day long, and nobody said nothing.
Joey
The
Badass
best
song was better.
Yeah, Joey Badass's song was better. I mean, I'm not even a big Remy Ma fan, and I like that song the fucking best.
Oh yeah.
You know, so again, that was just, and for this to be, I mean, I think it's through mass appeal, and every producer is doing something leading up to the 50th year of hip hop, and just for Premier to be setting that off, it's like, yo, this was not a good look. Like, that's the one album that I'm like was not good. The rest of these albums were good. I was just expecting great. I was just expecting good for this. My expectation level of this album was a 3 mic at best, and that shit disappointed me. So that's the one album. Now I'm like, this ain't good. The Elephant Man, Bones, Do or Die, Fear of a Black Planet, and Fear of Time, and Taylor Talk 4, at least 3.5 to 4 mic albums. But that volume 1 with, oh yeah, that's it for me. JR, any disappointing albums for you this year?
Neo Self-Explanatory. I'm done with this nigga.
I didn't even know Neo still sung.
I'm done with this nigga. Like, I have been so disappointed since like 2010 with this nigga. And I'm done. Like, I've had enough. Because I'm like, nigga, what are you doing? You haven't done a great album since like Year of the Gentleman. That was 2008. And I keep giving this nigga a chance. And I was like, all right, I'm a Libra scale, fuck it. It's like, all right, your first Black album, it's like, all right, you fuck up, cool. Then he come out with Red. I'm like, all right, he got a couple of joints. And then after that non-religion bullshit. And then after that, he just kept coming with bullshit. So he was like self-explanatory. I'm going back to my days at,
But stop right there, JR. That's what I mean by the twos. When it's like, Do or Die 2. It's always like after they fucked up enough, and they're like, okay, I'm going back, and I'm gonna give y'all what y'all really wanted. So it's gonna be Muddy Waters 2, and fucking Only Built for Cuban Links 2, and Do or Die 2. And it's like, once you add that 2 on it, you're raising the expectation that much higher for it. Versus if you just would have said, this is my new album. Right. So, but keep going, because it's that they always get us with that. I'm going back.
Right.
So you give y'all what y'all want.
Yeah, and when he did that out, and then I listened to it, I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, you could have kept this shit. Like, honestly, I wanted him to get back with the chick he left for, because he made better music with her. Like, for real.
That's how I feel about Kanye. I'm like, Kanye, can you get back with Amber? Because my Dark Twisted Fantasy was when you was with Amber.
Right, like,
get back with Amber, please.
I was like, this shit is whack. I was like, yeah, I'm done with Neo after this. Like, I've been disappointed for way too long. I'm like, I'm done with this nigga. So I don't give a fuck if he come out with a new album. I'm not listening. Lucky Day, Candy Drip. I was very disappointed with it. Because Painted was so dope. So I always want an artist to kind of, get better and, try new things. But this album just didn't do it for me. And I kind of give him the front runner when it comes to the dudes, when it comes to R&B. And I was just like,
I'll say this. I didn't listen to the whole album, but Fucking Sounds, I love that song, man.
That's the song. I like 3 songs on the album. That's it. And that's one of them. But yeah, I was like, yeah. I think, to me, I just think he brought it out too early, and I don't think he got to live. Like, you got to live to make good music to me. And I think he just came out with a duet album for real. Then you come out with this. I'm like, dude, live your life. Like, give us some shit. Like,
you know what, bro? 20-second time out on the question. Let me ask y'all this. I don't know if it was on this show or timeline somewhere. I was talking with somebody about the amount of albums that people come out with in a year. And that you don't do exactly what you said, JR. You don't get a chance to live. So for people watching who may be younger, back in the 90s, Tribe comes out with Low End in 91. They go on a radio promo tour. So they're going across the country. They go on tour. They may go on a fucking world tour. You live your life. You come back a year later. You live. You out the country. You met people. You did new things. You have new things to rap about. Like, would we have even wanted 4 Tribe Called Quest albums in a year? And if we got that, do we even think that we would have gotten Low End, Midnight? Like, do you think the albums would have even been that great if the way people try to turn out music now? You know, like this maybe 2-3 years ago, when they was like, yo, Flea Lord's making an album every month for the year. And I'm like, that shit is not impressive to me. Like, I mean, I guess it's impressive because you're actually writing that many rhymes. I can't rap, so maybe Veg, maybe for an MC, that may not be a big deal. It is impressive, but it's like, is that music going to hold up? Like, are we going to look back? Are we just saluting him for putting out 12 albums? Or are we saying, yo, this nigga has put out an album every month that is damn near a classic? And those are two totally different, awards. Like, hey, I give you the award for being able to write 12 songs, 12 times, all that, versus you did this every year, every month, and these are very dope albums. What are you gonna say, Eddie?
Well, what was that bar that Fonte had? Because if you ain't dropping that cheap weekend shit, every weekend shit, then they wonder about your whereabouts. He put it like so perfectly, man. That's what it's become. Like, if you ain't dropping like at least multiple projects a year, like with these new artists, then they're like, oh man, this guy dropped off the face of the earth. Where like we used to be able to wait at least 2 years.
Or at least a year. I just don't think Tribe gives us Low End and Midnight and People's Instinctive all in the same year. People's Instinctives dropped in like 90. So I don't think if they dropped 3 albums in a year, the next 2 albums would have been Low End and Midnight. Like, life had to be lived. So I agree with what you're saying, JR. Like, that's like, go live your life. Like, go do some shit. And this is why all the shit sounds alike, because you just dropped the album last month. So you ain't done shit in the past 2 months but smoke more weed and fucking get drunk and fuck chicks. Like, nigga, this is why every album sounds alike, because you ain't done nothing different. You doing the same exact shit. At least go to Sweden and smoke some weed. At least you have a new story, You get arrested in customs, you got another story. Like, but if you just never left Buffalo for the past 3 months, nigga, no wonder every album sounds alike. Babe, what you gonna say?
I was gonna say it depends, because I guess it depends on the artist, right? Because some artists, they're recording all the time, and they could have been sitting on a lot of Midnight Marauder shit when Low End was out. So we might have been like, well, yeah, they could do it. But I also think our appetite was different back then, because we were satisfied with the one. So we would have been confused by a nut like, wait a minute. Because you know what? That happened with me with Ice Cube, where I thought, for the old heads, I was in Sam Goody. And I remember, I was listening to, matter of fact, I was listening to Death Certificate for so long that I didn't even know the Predator was out. And I was like, man, this kind of bad. I didn't think it was real. And I was looking at the back like, this shit can't be real. But I think it was like a year and change. But for back then, that was pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? That was almost like Andrew.
Right.
I didn't think.
And that's a good point. That's a good point, because we were actually buying music. So if they were dropping multiple albums a year, we were like, yo, slow down, man, I'm broke.
Right.
Like it ain't now with streaming. People just get their streaming service and they got everything, right? But back when you had to actually cop shit, you know what I mean? And also back in the days, I feel like artists actually went on tour and went on like a lengthy tour, at least the big artists, right? And now it's like, they might do shows here and there.
And the crazy part is, I think Benny actually had a good strategy. Benny wasn't doing what West and Conway were doing. He dropped Tina Talk 3 1 year. The next year he dropped Plugs I Met. The next year he dropped, not Reasonable Doubt. The fucking name is this shit. What is the name of this album? We all know the next album. He's Burden of Proof. Burden of Proof. He dropped this. You know what I mean? So I felt like he had that good. Okay, once a year, I'm gonna do some verses here, so you don't forget me. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna give me some time to miss you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, it almost felt like when we were stuck in the house with quarantine during COVID. And it was like, no, Naomi, you're supposed to go to school and come home with new stories. And see, you're supposed to go to work and come home with new stories. Like, us just all being in the house together. This is not, after a while, because at first, like, oh shit, the world's ending. Like, let's love each other. But then after we was like, oh, the world's really not ending. Like, okay, everybody ready to go back to work? Or you want to go to the supermarket by yourself? You want to go take a walk? You want to walk boots by yourself? So it's like, it almost feels like you're trapped. Like, give me a minute to miss you. Go to work so I cannot see you. So I can be excited to come home and see you, hear about your day. And I feel like that's when you're just dropping so much music like this. But I guess, like Eddie said, with the, if we forget about you, you got to constantly keep feeding people. But you're almost like stepping on the crack, like you're stepping on the coke. Like, it's not even pure anymore. It's not good. You know what I mean? And I'd rather just some good coke. I'll wait, Stringer. I'll wait until you get the new packaging from Brother Muzone or whatever like that. I'll wait, but don't step on it and just put another color on it and, tell me to enjoy this crack and to get me high for like that. Like, so okay, my fault. Eddie, any disappointed joints for you this year?
Yeah. So shit, I had that.
You said like you got a whole list.
Nah, I don't have a whole list, but I definitely got that Black Star album. Because let me tell you, like, these two albums I'm gonna name, they were albums that were potential. When I heard that they were coming, they were like album of the year potential, right? The Black Star.
The other thing about the Black Star album that pissed me off, because people kept saying it was coming. It was like, that was coming. It's coming. My man Kelv used to text me like, "Kill the Black Star." I'm like, nigga, I don't give a fuck. I done heard it's been coming for the past 10 years. To Live Like It's Coming. Most is like, I don't know nothing about no album. So after all of that to get this.
And then they didn't even drop it on streaming. They dropped it on a podcast platform that you had to subscribe to it. So now it's like, and to be honest, like, when I heard the album, I was like, all right, I'm not on their platform. So maybe what I'm hearing, it sounds fucked up because I'm listening to like some bootleg grip, right? But then I'm like, nah, that's just really how it sounds. And it just sounded like it was incomplete. Like, it sounded like Mos Def didn't want to be there. Like, Talib sounded like Talib sounded like engaged. I mean, he kind of what he gave you. But let's be honest, like, most people want to hear, like, because now Yasin, like, he hasn't been rapping in a while, you know what I mean? So now it's like, dude, what's he gonna bring right now? Is Black Star? He's coming back. He's gonna be fired up. Dude, this sounded like he did not want to be there. Although, what was it? They had a verse on what album? Gosh.
They on West Side Gun.
They sounded good on that shit.
That shit is hot, yeah.
They did sound good on that shit. So now, and maybe I'll be fooled twice, but that got me thinking that maybe they could get it right because they did sound good on that shit. Maybe they need West Side Gun to executive produce their shit. Maybe that's what they need.
Yeah,
they do sound good on that joint, man. But
yeah. And the next one I got is Kendrick, man. The Big Steppers. What was Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, man? Because, and here's the thing, man. I listened to the album. I like the album. I would say it's probably the most important album of the year, but it doesn't get any replay value from me. It's too heavy. It's too long. It's just like I hardly ever want to listen to it, man. It's just the content is way too heavy. It's too long. It's just, yeah, man.
It's a commitment.
It is. Yeah.
Like, you may want to casually just hit some joints, and you like, nah, I got thinking shit. You know, I'm trying to exercise. Like, what the fuck?
Serious, man. It be getting me in my feelings. Like, got me thinking about life. Got me like, damn, man, do I gotta shell out some money to get a therapist, man? Like,
Right.
Yo, does my insurance cover this? Like, goddamn.
Nah, I feel you. Meg, what about you? What disappointed you this year?
So real quick on my podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast. Every year I do like a best of the year where I just name all the albums I think are the best of the year, and then I do a separate episode that's like top 5, which I said here on this show. But this year I added 3 albums that did not make my top 5 and why. And those are typically bigger joints from bigger names. I'm not going to name those because I felt like they were big enough for my podcast, but I have 2 that I think are really good that I didn't put on my podcast. Sci-Hi, he got the EP or whatever that was called.
Yeah.
When I heard this dude was coming back, I didn't care it was an EP. I didn't care it was 4 songs. I was just like, yo, this dude is nice. He need to be out here. And it just was one of those, what's that commercial where like, you almost got it with the dollar in the
Right.
It was one of those where I was like, God damn, like he's right there. Like, I don't know if it's the production. I mean, obviously he still fit. But I just was disappointed, and I was almost shocked at how disappointed I was in the project. Like, I was like, damn, do I think this shit is whack? Not really.
I forgot about that one, but that's a good
It's forgettable. It's really.
And y'all know I love Sci-Hi, No Dope on Sundays.
Yeah.
That's another one of them albums where I could rap along with every word. That's a 5-mic classic to me. I never get tired of No Dope on Sunday. So yeah, you're right, Beck. I forgot that shit even came out. So that's a definitely.
Yeah, we all did. I leave it on. Usually I delete shit I don't like on my phone, but this is me being stubborn. Like, maybe one day I will like it. I don't.
Bro, I've done the same thing. I came back to that numerous times. Like, let me listen again. I didn't listen at night, so maybe I was tired, long day.
Right.
Like, let me go to work with it. So I'm with you. I've tried.
Right. The other one I have is Kool G Rap, Last of a Dying Breed. Now, I thought, right, here comes the father of Nas, Griselda, everybody. He got the hoodie on the cover, Last of the Dying Breed, look kind of grizzled. I'm like, you know, all these shows got these old white men. I'm like, nah, G-Rap is back. At the perfect time, right? Man, that shit is garbage. I don't give a fuck what you say on Twitter. No.
Hey.
This shit is garbage. And you know what I think it is? It's the same AZ thing. I was going to say this. It's the reason why I didn't really care for Do or Die 2. Or other AZ albums beyond Pieces of a Man. But I feel like they need to be produced and they need to have specific beats because they don't change their rhyme pattern. Their rhyme pattern is perfect for certain beats. So then them shits just work when you hear it. It's like, oh, this shit is good. But I don't know who the fuck did cool. This is Kool G Rap. Like, I started thinking like you, Kill. Like, this is Kool G Rap. If all these dusty white boys or whoever, these Derringer or whoever these niggas, I don't know these niggas. I got the hoodie on. But you know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, they not lining up for Kool G Rap. Like, get this nigga some heat.
Yo, bro, the minute I heard Domingo produced the whole album, I was like, yo, I haven't heard a dope Domingo beat since 1996, maybe 1997. So I don't understand. Again, I don't understand, like you said, Vic, I don't understand how these projects come together. Now, as much as we can sit back and say we hated the industry, I think I can speak for Vegas and myself. During the times when we were at Strictly Hip Hop in the 90s, the people we talked to on the phone were hip hop heads. There's a reason why the hip hop that came out in the 90s was so great, because you had hip hop heads who were A&Rs and hip hop heads who were in the market. department, hip hop heads that were in the promo department, and labels were being run by hip hop heads. And I think that that's a huge piece. I don't know, like G-Rap, this album, I didn't even want to, people have been asking me about it. I haven't even want to say because I didn't want the lispers to come after me. It was like, I do not feel like the lispers are coming at me. Yeah, the lispers.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Did you say the lispers?
The lispers. Not the whispers with the two twins. The lispers. The lispers were gonna come after me if I didn't say I love this Kool G Rap album. I don't think I'm not as bad as Vegas. I don't think it's trash. It's I at best because I just feel like this is G Rap to me. You remember the 5 Heartbeats when they at the picnic at the end and they trying to do the dance moves and I got nothing but love for you. That's where I just feel like this is G Rap. You know what I mean? And again, this is kind of like when Poor said the whole Mount Westmore. I'm like, I just feel like this is like these niggas. New Edition is a well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they have to tour. This is how they pay their bills. So they make money by touring. So when you go see New Edition, I just saw them this past March. They look and move damn near as good as they moved 20 years ago. Why? Because they're a well-oiled machine. They know this is how they pay their bills. To me, they took a book out of JR's book where he said everybody doesn't need to put out a new album, just tour.
Right.
Just perfect your tour game. And I think that's what New Edition has done. But the majority of these other groups, I just feel like they just don't have it. And G-Rap has done incredible things. I'm just not that person who is expecting G-Rap to sound the same way he did in 1988. You know what I mean?
I'll say this about G-Rap joint, just for clarity for those who just hear trash, and then they think I'm talking about G-Rap's whole career. I mean, I got tapes from the 90s there. You wasn't there. My tapes are real, from actual record stores, with G-Rap. But I'll say this. I think it's not really G-Rap to me that makes it whack. I just think it's not well produced. This is one of the gods of rap. It's one of the fathers of a style that people still emulate to this day. He deserves better from a production standpoint. Right. But what I will say is, and even though this isn't new, I just not thinking of a newer example, but when you hear G-Rap rapping on Cakes, I mean, G-Rap came out in the 80s. This is a RZA beat in like the early 2000s, late 90s. G-Rap sound fresher than everybody on the fucking track. But it's the beat style and his rhyme style. And he's doing the same rhyme style. To me, I think he's one of those older MCs where he doesn't really have to change the way he flows because it's still relevant, right? His flow is really still relevant today. And he still says shit. But when you pair it with some off-brand beats, not great hooks, it's just extremely disappointing for something they were trying to tee up as, you know, Kool G Rap is back with a solo album. And every song is not whack to me. This joint with him and Kane, I thought was dope. But it's just extremely disappointing. So,
you know what that remind me of though? It's like you remember back in the days when we still went to the store to buy CDs, right? And you get an artist that used to be on a major, and you're like, oh, they got a new album. And you flip it over and you see it's on Koch, and you're like, God damn, man, this shit's gonna be trash. Yo.
Koch,
they got no budget.
Here's the funny thing, Vag. I think what you're saying is so big, and it makes me think of the show we just did, Salute, in 1993, with KRS's Return to Boom Bap. And that just this being a well-produced album, like Out of Here, he's telling a story, like and you're pulled in by the story, you know. Black Cop, a song that's about something, you know what I mean? I Can't Wake Up, a concept song, you know. Sound of the Police, another song that's about something. You know, Return of the Boom Bap, the P is still free. Like, this is what for people out there, like maybe wondering when we say produce, it's not just the beats. It's like, let's sit down and come up with a plan for this album. Right. Like, let's sit down and come up with G-Rap. You've been through this the whole time. Talk about how you and Marley linked up. Like, let's talk about that. Like, and this is shit that just comes to me off the top of my head. Let's make it like it's an interview album. Let's make it an interview album. Like, how did you link up with Molly? That's a song. What happened with you and Polo? That's a song. Most people don't even know this nigga had like brain damage. I mean, not KRS, but Kid Kool G Rap had like brain surgery, like from the first album to the second album. Like, talk about that shit. Like, you could even just pair this out just like it's an interview. You know, so when you walk away, I'm going to stay tuned in because I'm going to want to know what happened. Like, it's almost like watching a movie or reading a book. Like, and that shit is just off the top of my fucking head. That's why some of y'all need to hire me to be y'all executive producers, because this shit is easy. It's not that fucking hard. But just coming out saying just rap, I just, again, and I don't think that impresses the kids. And it doesn't impress me. At 48, I need more than just rap. And at least if you're going to rap, then be rapping over some high quality beats that I'm fucking blown away by. Like, God damn, that beat is crazy. We're not even getting that. And again, it goes back to what I said. G-Rap would do better saying, look, Twitter, I need 12 beats. Guess what, niggas? I ain't even paying for them shits. Y'all get y'all credit. Y'all get y'all publishing. I guarantee you, niggas will be sending G-Rap the dopest beats they have in their fucking folder. You know what I mean? You don't even gotta pay for them shits. I always said this all the time. G-Rap could be like, "Kill, can I use your studio for free?" Sure, come on in, nigga. You can record the whole fucking album for free and not pay for shit, and come up with a better album with better production than this. This is what always trips me out. Why niggas can't make great albums, because it's that fucking easy. What are you gonna say, back?
I was gonna say one more thing on this, and I got one more disappointment. But I think the sad part about it is Kool G Rap is very capable of telling stories. He's done it a million times over. So there's no reason why it can't be that. And I just felt like, at least, and maybe I hyped myself up, but I felt like with the resurgence of that boom bap sound, and you know, Griselda and all the cats like that, I just felt like you were getting the Godfather now, right? Like, he's here to put one last album out, right? With some of that new production. And if people need a newer example of what Kill's talking about, King's Disease, right?
But that's it right there.
Get out of Nas.
But now, I think here's the thing, babe. I can tell when I listen to King's Disease 3, I can tell Nas still wants to rap.
Yeah.
I don't know if G-Rap, like, just like you said with, you know, when's the first time? Like, that's such a dope concept. Like, yo, when's the first time you heard Nas? You know, from Done. How many times have we heard Nas talk about Queensbridge? But there's something new with this. You know, Michael and Quincy, like, this is coming from somebody who still wants to rap, who is in a good headspace. I don't know, does G-Rap still want to rap?
I think Nas wanted to rap when he did the shit with Kanye, but it didn't work out, right?
Right.
He needed a hit voice, somebody who was just as passionate about it as him, and that's why he got all those, you know, We're the New Gangstar and Michael and Quincy, because Hit Boy is fueling him, and he's fueling Hit Boy. So I think it's too, and I would love, and I know nobody would ever answer this on camera, but it's like, really, like, do you still want to do this? Like, I had to go to one of my coworkers and be like, bro, you've been in this game for a minute. Like, I don't feel like your heart is still in working with these kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like your heart is still there. You know what I mean? And I don't really think it is for me. But the nigga has to pay his bills. You know, so he's gonna keep coming to fucking work every day. But I can look and be like, yo, I think he, what Avon say about Cudi? Like, I think the joint done broke him. Like, I think you're done. I don't think you want to do this no more. And I'm just wondering, with rappers and entertainers, it's kind of like, I mean, JR, New Edition been singing Candy Girl since 1984. I personally would be out on stage, like, if I got to do this goddamn dance one more time. Like, I'm sure one of them niggas have not had a mental breakdown on stage. Like, I'm fucking done. I gotta
know. But they look at that check,
right? But that's the piece of it. That means you really don't want to do it. Nas is good. Nas is good financially. Nas doesn't have to do shit. Nas doesn't have to do anything. But that's what I mean about he's still rapping, Because when you have that check, you don't have to do it anymore.
Right,
I love doing Apartment 5B. They could give me $8 billion tomorrow. Guess what? We're going to be here next Thursday doing Apartment 5B. We may be in person now. I may be flying motherfuckers out, but I still love chopping it up with y'all every week. So that's not going to change. Whereas if you give people, I tell people all the time, let black folk get reparations. Watch how many people get divorced. You know how many motherfuckers is married just because they got to be?
Right.
Just dead ass. Like, it's a lot of people like, yo, let reparations come through and give everybody 150 grand. You're going to watch the divorce rate skyrocket out this motherfucker. Like, I can leave? Oh, peace. So again, it's just, do you really want to be in this marriage? Or are you just here for convenience? Do you really want to rap? Or are you just rapping because you need a check? Because you need some money? You know what I mean? It's not like G-Rap was on Cold Chillin'. It's not like this nigga was on Rockefeller. He didn't come up in the 2000s when niggas was rapping and making a lot of money and shit. Like, again, I'm not in this nigga's pockets, but it just may be like, yo, I gotta do this. And a lot of times that comes through in the music. You know, we all, I'm sure, have co-workers that you look at like, this nigga does not want to fucking be here. This nigga don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's the hard part. So I don't know. Did you have another one, or that was it? The G-Rap.
Just one more. Portia mentioned it. It's Mount Westmore.
I gotta hear this shit.
When I heard Big Subwoofer, I was like,
Kill. I'm not ready to listen to that. Please.
When I heard the first single, the Big Subwoofer joint, I was like, oh, this shit crazy. I like this. And I'm not an E40 fan at all. Like, at all. The nigga has irritated me since the 90s. But he's had some joints that he's been on where I'm like, I kind of fuck with this. I kind of fuck with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, this might be all right. But man, I think I got to like track 3 and I was like, I'm turning this shit off. This shit this is not cool in no... Maybe it's just me. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe because I'm on the East Coast. I don't know. Whatever reason somebody else can come up with for me. But I was like, this shit is highly disappointing because that first single had me. I was like, oh, this shit gonna be crazy. But I don't think it is at all.
Yeah, it's crazy because with this joint, I'm just looking at it now. I'm like, yo, it would have been dope. They could have done some Black Star shit. What I loved about Black Star first album, you got Sean J. Period doing half, who was most producer. You got High Tech, who's Talib's producer, doing half. I would have been like, yo, let's get one of E40's people to come in here and do, give us some of that E40-ish shit. And then Too Short, you get some of your peoples to come in and again, this shit is so many ways they could have played with this album to just make it incredible. But yeah. Ral, what about you? Any disappointed joints this year?
Yeah, the Rock Marcian Alchemist joint, man. Like, I thought that joint would be fire, and it's just all right to me. It's not trash, but it's just all right, and I don't play it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't listen to it anymore. So that was disappointing for me, and I thought I was going to get a lot of pushback for this one, but Eddie saved me because he mentioned it first. But the Kendrick joint, man, like, listen, man, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I don't listen to that joint. Like, I probably ain't listen to it. Yeah, I mean, not to y'all. I mean, but you know how people are, man. But, bro, I ain't gonna even front. I don't even really like that joint for real. I don't like it, bro. Like, I don't fuck with it. I'm sorry. Like, that's just, it's my opinion. I'm sorry. I don't fuck with it. Like, it's okay.
It's all different, man.
It's okay. And even like, I remember To Pimp a Butterfly. I ain't like that, and that shit grew on me.
Right. Huh?
This I ain't like To Pimp a Butterfly.
Here's the funniest.
Like you said, it grew on you. That's okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, JR, the funniest story is me and Ev. The first 24 hours, To Pimp a Butterfly was the funniest shit ever. Me and Ev was like, "Yo, this shit is trash.
You did tell me that.
This shit is horrible." And then like a day later, I was like, "Yo, Ev, I kind of like it." And Ev was like, "Yeah, me too." Like, so it was the weirdest thing to go from this is trash to the next day. So yeah, I totally feel it.
I was the same way. Like, I didn't like it at first, but it really grew on me, and I like it.
Right.
This one, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to it to give it a chance. This one, like, I'll have a longing to go listen to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I go listen to stuff, it's just
Yeah, there's
know?
nothing wrong with that. I mean, one thing that I've always said about Kendrick is, to me, he's an artist. He's a true artist. And with artists, they're going to give you shit. Like, I always use D'Angelo. I know when Voodoo dropped, people didn't like Voodoo because they wanted Brown Sugar. And then when Black Messiah dropped, they didn't like that because it wasn't Voodoo.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So it's like each one of those albums are completely different. And I get why people may not like them. You know, because when you're an artist, you really can't put them in no box. You know, and I think this was Kendrick's therapy session right here. You know, and it's what he needed to get off his chest. It's not going to speak to everybody. You know what I mean? And you know, it's one of those things where, and this may come in where I really am not the most lyrical listening to the lyric person. I can listen to fucking this shit while I'm cleaning my house. Like, I can listen to this shit on the way to work. Like, I'm not, maybe because I'm not even listening to the words or what the fuck he talking about. Like, you know what I mean? So, but I totally, this is what I don't get about hip hop sometimes, when people are like, I don't get how you fucking can't like it. I can totally understand why people don't like Rap Parsley. I can totally understand why people don't like West Side Gun. I can totally understand why people wouldn't like this album. You know what I mean? Like, I totally get it. You know, Black Messiah, this nigga's playing guitar. There ain't no fucking, you know, I was saying with Devil's Pie, when it came into the station, Vegas, when I put the needle on, I was like, I don't like this shit. Like, what's this up-tempo shit? I was ready for some old Brown Sugar Lady Part 2 type shit. You know what I mean? So it was like, now, of course, I love, you know, fucking, whatever the fuck I just said. But yeah, it was like, my brain, Devil's Pie. I love it now. Right. When I first listened to it, because it's what I wanted was this. I wanted D'Angelo. It's why I really don't like D'Angelo's shows, because he wants to be James Brown, and I really just want that nigga to sit his ass behind the fucking roads and fucking play. I don't want you jumping around with fucking voodoo people jumping around on stage and doing shit. Nigga, just fucking sit behind the piano. What's up, Vic?
Well, I was gonna say, I didn't see him during the voodoo time, so I don't know. And he was also high, so that could be some of it. But I did see him during the Black Messiah time, and it's one of the best shows I've seen.
Absolutely, me too. I did too. Yeah,
like, he did a rendition of Brown Sugar I've never heard, and I was that nigga in the crowd like, "Yo, can you release that?" Like, like now, to me only, shit.
Right now, and I think for me, he's just stuck in that laid back cruising mode. Like that's my D'Angelo. Like, so even when he did some stuff, I think he was in Philly for, I forgot, the Roots Picnic. And I mean, he did some crazy shit. He did a re-edition of one of these songs that Dilla sampled for Donuts, which is crazy. But again, he just seems like he wants to be James Brown. And it's just like, you know, that's cool, but I just prefer this. And I think this is how artists get split, because it's like, maybe somebody says my favorite Kendrick is Good Kid, Mad City. And I don't know if you're gonna get another Good Kid, Mad City out of Kendrick. You know what I mean? I think that's the hard part with artists. Like, we want to get another EPMD. We want to get another Unfinished Business. You know, we want to stay in that same realm. We want to get another Daily Operation. Even though Hard to Earn to me doesn't sound like it, it still stays in that same place. Like, to me, what Kendrick would be doing is like, what if Hard to Earn was Jasmine Taz 1? You know what I mean? Niggas would have been like, what the fuck? Like, yo, what are you doing, bro? Like, you know what I mean? And that's why I like that they said this is some old separate shit from Gangstar. This ain't got nothing to do with us. This is Guru's little love child over there that he gonna fuck with. We'll get back to Gangstar in a minute. And I think with artists, like, that's what you got. I don't know anybody who was ready for the Love Below. You know, when I remember buying it, and I was thinking I was getting the Andre 3000 solo rapping album. You know, I heard Hey Ya, but I was hoping. What'd you say?
I think he also the Miseducation on Lauren.
Right. It's like, you know, incredible album, but it's like, I really was just wanted you to rap, nigga. But with an artist, you can't do that. You know what I mean? It's with Mos Def. Like, all his albums are different. You know what I mean? Because he's really an artist. You know, but
Magic album. Oh my god.
Yeah. All right. So tell me this: on a scale of 5 mics, how many mics are you giving 2022? Porsche, how many mics you giving this year?
I'm giving this year, I would say I'm giving this year like 4 mics, a soft 4, like a soft 4. Makes sense.
Okay, I'm giving it a 3.5. 3.5 here for me. JR, what about you?
I'm like Porsche. I give it a soft 4. I mean, R&B is always great. It's just how mainstream presents it. So the music is there, we just gotta find it. So.
All right, Eddie, what about you?
I say 3.5. I got a lot of the albums that I really appreciated, but there was also disappointments and a lot of shit that I didn't care for.
All right, Veg, what about you?
I'd say a 4. I think a lot of like my top 5, they're more recent albums. And I think if I didn't, for the podcast, like research and try to be on top of everything that dropped, I wouldn't have known about half the albums I've heard that I do think is dope. So I don't think some of these albums made as much noise. And the best albums came out, more recently.
All right, Ro, what about you?
3.5. Got some dope stuff, but a good amount of disappointments for me. But it kind of just balances itself out to being like a good year, but not amazing. So I'm gonna go with a 3.5.
Yeah, I think with 1, 2, I got 5 disappointing albums. I think if these 5 disappointing albums for me would have come through and been incredible albums, I could have edged it a little bit. Tell me this, out of your top 5 that you have, are any of these 5 mic classics for you? Porsche, what about you? Anything on your top 5 list from this year? Is it a 5 mic classic?
I think Ransom would be the one that would be the closest.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say
All right.
Ransom or Rest for the Wicked. Yeah.
All right. I got Soul Separately, 5 mic. I'll be listening to this forever. King's Disease may be on the cusp. It just came out, so it's still teetering. I don't know, but I definitely got Freddie, JR. Anybody in your top 5 this year getting 5 mics from you?
Whew. V Cartier, I'm giving him 5 mics for Frequency. I don't know if I want to. Nah, I can't give B, even though it's my favorite, but I can't give it 5 mics. Nah, so I only got one that's in my top 5 that's a 5 mic album for real, because I like every song. So.
All right, Eddie?
Yeah, I would say, Nas potentially, but, I think I need more time with it. But I would actually say that Cheat Codes could be Black Thought's classic solo. I think it has the potential. And I say potential, I think, depends what he comes out with, man. But, it may be an album that, hopefully he could top it, but maybe not. I think the chemistry that him and Danger Mouse had. And the other thing is, who knows if they're going to work together again. Like, if he goes out and works with other artists, like, people would be looking back on that album like, damn, that was a moment.
All right. Vic, what about you?
I don't think so. Not yet, at least. King's Disease 3 might be the closest, just because it was another album I was surprised by, and usually I don't like when people say, like how they were saying, him and Hit Boy were saying at the beginning, like, oh, it's the best out of 3, but I think they're right. Yeah. I think it's just something about it that's different, that's better, and I probably like more songs over time. So yeah, maybe King's Disease 3.
All right, Ro, what about you?
No 5s. I got King's Disease and Freddie Gibbs both at 4.5. And I think they probably stay there. King's Disease possibly, but I don't have a 5.
All right, no doubt. Anything that you're looking forward to in 2023? Have you heard any rumors of anything coming out? Is there anything that you're even fishing for or waiting for? Porsche, what about you?
Haven't heard anything, or I don't try not to keep up with the rumors because we're always disappointed, because then they don't drop. I'm really looking forward to whenever Pete Rock and Amir's album is going to drop, Dope Boy Soul. I've been looking forward to that for I feel like ever. And I'm also looking forward to anything that Shay Noir wants to put out. I hope she has some stuff kind of in the talk that she's gonna release. And of course, Blue is always working. RJ Payne is always working. I hope that they also drop some joints, which I'm sure they will. RJ Payne has a single dropping on January 2nd. I don't listen to singles unless it's a Lucy, but hopefully it's part of an album. So yeah, that's all. That's all for me.
Right. I'm with you. Outside of Amir and Pete Rock's joint, they let a snippet of Walking Contradiction go, which I think is bananas when that joint drops. But to be honest with you, I really, this is probably the first year that I can think of doing these year-end shows when I'm like, I don't even really have a wish list. Like, even maybe last year I had a wish list like, I think last year I was talking about Pusha and Madlib was supposed to be doing something. I mean, I got nothing for this year. Like, and to me, that's kind of sad that I don't even got a wish list of anything right now. So I got nothing. JR, what about you?
Well, one of my faves is going on tour and she's bringing back new music. So Janet, I'm waiting for her next year. And
now is Jam and Lewis producing this?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
We ain't fucking with nobody else. And honestly, I want the Shandellas to come back again. I'm waiting.
I do. I love that debut.
Yeah, and even though they didn't push this album like I wanted it to, but I hear they're in the studio and they're doing some new stuff. So
they had a follow-up album?
Huh?
They had a follow-up album to the first joint?
Yeah, they in the studio now. So
okay.
Yeah. So I'm waiting on that. But I'm like you, Kill, to be honest with you. I'm not really excited about anybody, to be honest. But those are only two, like the Shandellas and Janet, to be honest. But anybody else, I'm just like, all right, when it comes, it comes.
Yeah, I feel you. Eddie, what about you?
I got the Pete Rock and Amir, like you guys mentioned. Trey Lee supposed to be dropping an album too. At least he said he was working on something, right? So I'll definitely be interested in that. There's an album that's, I guess, dropping tonight. I guess it's not considered next year, obviously. But Ab Soul is dropping a new album tonight. So, I mean, since we're not, talking about it tonight, I mean, it would definitely be, I guess,
for next year,
part of the next year, you know what I'm saying? And gosh, there was one more. I mean, I'm always interested in what I Am God does. I feel like he's a hungry MC. Like, I know I heard him talking on the other podcast you guys did where we were just kind of talking about like his goals, like the ring that he's reaching for is to make a classic album, not necessarily to make money or whatnot. So I feel like he got that hunger that I'm always constantly want to hear what he's going to do next. So yeah, those are mine.
All right, Veg, what about you?
So I do these shows called like the preview of the new year, and they seem to do extremely well. I don't understand it. I don't know if people like the speculation or whatever. So I kind of usually reach. Some of those things happen this year, right? Like Black Star coming back and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind a Jay-Z album if he's somewhat inspired by his peers, seeing what Nas and Hit Boy is doing. Also, I kind of want, I don't know if this exists, I don't know if there's some legal ramifications or maybe it doesn't exist, but I keep holding out hope that Havoc is going to announce like one final Mobb Deep album that maybe him and P were like working on but never got to really finish, and he just put the finishing touches on it in the same way that Premier did, because I think what Premier did with Gangstar's final album, that's what you do when you got a couple of verses from Guru, because it still sounded like Gangstar. It didn't sound like we got one verse here from Guru, now let's throw Drake on the other fucking joint. Right. Like, what? Drake on Gangstar? Like, it doesn't make sense. But nevertheless, yeah, for me, I feel like y'all, right? We got a lot of, Kendrick finally dropped. We got another King's Disease. It's like, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to anything. Kill,
It's funny you
still
say-
doing MC of the year and producer.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I totally forgot. But I feel you, Veg. I feel like how you just said, we got King's Disease, we got the Kindred. It's almost like where I feel like I am with like my sneakers. Like I kind of got all the sneakers I want. Like I'm like if a new sneaker drops, then of course I'll get it. But as far as like buying in bulk, like I'm done. Like
Hey,
I'm done.
I want to make an observation. For all these trapped in the 90s heads. So I want to make an observation because Nas potentially teased something on King's Disease 3 and nobody is hype about it. Nobody's here is hype about it. You know what it is.
Please don't bring that up. That premiere album just might happen. We don't want it to happen. We got the glimpse of what it would look like, and we're good. But what I love about Nas is he keeps them right there on the edge, and that's what you should do. You know what I mean? You just keep them. It's almost like when on Documentary One, when Game was like, "Watch out for Detox." I can take you high. Like it was like, "Oh shit, Detox is coming." Like Dre knew that shit was coming. It's just enough to just keep you right there on the edge of your seat that it might happen. So all you trapped in the 90s niggas, please do not be sitting around. Trust me, Nas has Primo's number. He has. If he wanted to call that nigga, he would. So
what would be the ultimate troll move would be King's Disease 4 featuring scratches from Premiere. And that would be the Premiere album.
I mean, he basically did that with Magic. With having Premiere just do scratches. Like, that's the thing. Bro, anything you waiting for this year?
I was looking forward to the Ab Soul joint that dropped tonight. I want to see what that's hitting on. But other than that, no. I need to finish my own album. So that's it.
Hey,
Niggas still ain't
put that on my list too.
Yeah.
I just saw that he tried to commit suicide or something, Ab Soul. So I'm interested to see if he's going to talk about that on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe another heavy album.
His last album, it was slept on big time. Shit was hot.
All right.
I would like the Schoolboy Q album. I would like the Schoolboy Q album.
Okay.
Blank Face 2.
MC of the year, Porsche. Who do you have? MC and producer of the year. Who do you have?
For producer, I've got. I have to give it to Hit Boy, and the reason for that is I don't know any standout albums that the producer produced the entire thing and it was as good as it was. I have to give it to Hit Boy. And then MC of the year, I know, Kill, you're gonna get mad at me, but it's a toss-up between RJ Payne and Ransom for me. And the reason for that is
the only thing I ask is when you pull this Jodeci shit, you just don't say anything about Boyz II Men for a week.
Okay, I'll try.
That's all I ask. For people who don't get the joke, Porsche loves Boyz II Men. Boyz II Men seem like they're very polite people. So when you go to their house and they say take off your shoes, they would take off their shoes and would not walk on your carpet. Porsche, when I asked her to name one person, she wants to name 5, which is very Jodeci-esque. Which Jodeci just strike me like the type of people they be like, hey, can you take your boots off at the door? Fuck no, nigga. I'm gonna put my foot and your boots all on your carpet and I'm gonna dirty it up. So that's the joke of Boyz II Men and Jodeci. So when Porsche says things like, Kill, I know you're gonna be mad because I'm gonna name 8 people and you only asked for 1, that's her Jodeci moment. So the only thing I'm asking in return is I don't have to hear anything about Boyz II Men for at least 7.
You don't have to hear anything from me about Boyz II Men, but I have to say it's a toss-up between RJ Payne and Ransom, and it's honestly just because of how much work that they put in with singles, with albums, with projects that are upcoming, with things that they're dropping. Like, I don't know an MC who's got something lined up for literally the first day of the new year. Like, I don't know anybody who's already talking about January 2nd, I got something dropping. And for me, I love that. I feel like that's kind of a glimpse into what I can expect in terms of like work putting output for 2023, and that really makes me happy. So my MCs of 2022 for what they've done is Ransom and RJ Payne, and also because I know that more is to come. So yes.
All right, no doubt. My MC of the year is Freddie Gibbs. Again, so separately just made me a fan. And that's very hard to do because I've always liked Freddie, but this album just kind of just put it over the top. Just an incredible album for me. Producer Hit Boy. Magic dropped December of last year. For people who know me, my year starts from December to December because there's no way if something drops in December that I can have enough time to listen to it to do it for this show. So my year goes from December to December. So for what he did with Magic and KD3 and just what he's done for Nas, I mean, when I saw King's Disease 3 had how many songs this shit got 17 songs. You know, and I was like, oh man, 17, it's a lot of room to fuck up. Like, and they didn't fuck up. You know what I mean? And so my producer of the year is definitely Hit Boy. JR, what about you, good brother?
I get D-Mile for producer of the year for me.
And who is D-Mile? What has he produced?
Oh, D-Mile, he did India Shawn's new album. He did Silk Sonic's album. He did stuff for Mary. So he's been killing it for the last like 2 or 3 years right now. So he's been killing it. And as far as vocalists, I'm gonna give it to India Shawn.
Okay.
She was singing down, so I give it to her because a lot of people don't really talk about her, but the girl can definitely sing, so I give it to her.
All right, Eddie, what about you?
Man, Michael and Quincy.
All right.
Nas and Hit Boy, man. I mean, and I would say my kind of my 1B for producer is Pete Rock. Even though he didn't produce any MC's album, but he dropped Peace Instrumentals 4 and Return of SB 1200 2, and both of them joints were fire, you know. So yeah.
All right, Big, what about you?
For producer, I got Hit Boy for the same reasons y'all mentioned between Magic and King's Disease 3. I think also what is most notable with Hit Boy is 17 tracks on King's Disease 3, and you kind of double that because of the beat flips. Because, you know, you listen into one track on the beat and you're like, oh, this shit crazy. And then he just steps it up with another beat and you're thinking it's going to ruin it, but it doesn't. It just makes the shit even better. So
now I do want to give credit. I forgot he's got like 1 or 2 young boy producers who produce under him, who produce some of those second flip beats. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I just want to I forgot their name, but
yeah,
you know,
I forgot. Someone mentioned that on the other,
their credit, and I mean, he's giving them their credit. This isn't Ghost production. He's saying this person produced this second half of the song and different things like that. So
I think I heard they produce, like, it's the one producer, I forgot his name. So someone told me in the DMs, like when we were talking about it on the Twitter Spaces. They said he produced like maybe 4 tracks over the 4 albums that they did together, so not much.
Right. All right. And who's your MC of the year?
MC of the year, now I'm gonna go with Kendrick, only because when you think about all the other people I like, generally the content is the same, right? For the most part, except for maybe Nas. I think Nas is most varied out of all of them because it's like mature rap or whatever. But I go with Kendrick because it's just way more challenging to do a concept album and to try to have some depth with it and to get people to basically get the concept without you having to explain the entire thing. Once you got to explain the entire thing, then you didn't really do your job. But most people understand that it was his therapy or everybody's therapy or black man's therapy. And I think that's more challenging as a writer than to switch your flow or to just talk or do something like, you know, like a Black Thought. Like Black Thought is one of my top 5. But at the end of the day, his content is nowhere near as varied as Kendrick's is. So I felt like Kendrick earned that, and not necessarily bar for bar type thing, but just for being doing more with his pen. than just dope metaphors and stuff like that.
Right. One thing I will say about the Kendrick album that I do love, me and Nate listened to it together, and it was funny because I compared this album to like a church sermon. Because there's been times I've been to church and the sermon didn't speak to me, but I see other people getting saved. I see other people enjoying it. And I'm like, that's dope. That's a good sermon. It wasn't for me, but I see other people. And when Nay is listening to one song, it was like, you can't please everybody. And she was like, oh, I love that because that's how I be feeling. And then like another song, I'm like, oh, I love that. I feel that. Or like Cry Together is hilarious. Like Naomi and her friends fucking love Cry Together. Like I'll be listening to Kendrick in the car with like one of her girlfriends, and she'd be like, Daddy, can we curse? I'm like, knock yourselves the fuck out. And they just go in on that song. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm like, y'all really love this song. And we thought he was going to perform it at the show. He like starts it off and they was like, oh, and then he cut to something else. And she was so pissed. And she was like, she asked me before the show, like, can I curse if he does it? I was like, yeah, go to town, man. Do what you do, So, Brad, what about you? MC and producer of the year.
No,
well, we already know. We know.
Right.
We know. We don't even gotta play around. For people who are watching, it's either Nas, Ice Cube, or LL. So just figure out who dropped that year, and that will be Rel's MC of the year. But no, duly noted, Nas deserves it. Trust me, Nas. It went back and forth between Nas and Freddie Gibbs, but I think Freddie just making me a fan. At this point, it's almost like I'm what's the word? I'm spoiled by Nas. Like I know Nas is going to come with some adult bar, like and not to hold that against him, but it was like Freddie made me a fan, But again, Nas has touched on so many things. I got a question for y'all because when y'all are naming things, I'm like Sheik Luge, Lupe, Blue and Fat Lip, Robert Glasper, Big Pooh, Shea Noir, Mount Westmore. Y'all had no idea any of these albums came out this fucking way. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you find out about this music? Because I want to say out of everybody, I'm probably the most active on Twitter. I have the most people tweeting me shit all the fucking time.
You spend the most time arguing on Twitter and debating.
That part.
That's what it is. Okay, so
you have to fend off stan bases, so you don't have the time to be looking at new music.
No. But what I mean is people are always sending me shit. Kill, did you hear this? Did you hear this? Did you hear this? Did you hear this? So how do you get this music? And like Vague, like you said, because you're doing your podcast, you are researching. One thing I can always say about Vague, if there's a hip hop album that comes out that year, if I can bet money out of everybody I know, and I know a lot of motherfuckers in real life and in the Twitterverse, I will guarantee you Vague has heard it. You know what I mean?
I can give you a tip because, obviously I'm fucking busy, right? I got shit to do, but Instagram is your friend because that's how I find out, right? Ransom will post the album cover and I'm like, oh, he got some new shit. I go to Apple.
And that right there's my problem. I'm never on the gram. I'm never on Instagram.
But it's not only Instagram. Like you just like what I do personally is I follow my 5 favorite MCs, which you guys know I've even created a hashtag for them. And I have their notifications on because they will always, and their producers, if they have like an in-house producer or a particular producer that they always work with, because between the 2 or 3 of them, you're gonna get everything. So notifications being on is very much your friend. And also Ruben, check the rhyme. He posts a what's dropping every single week on a flyer that he creates, and that gives you a good dozen new joints that are going to be dropping. So that's how I get my news.
All right, that's good to know. That's good to know. So IG, following your favorite rappers. I've got this rule. If you don't follow me, I don't follow you. So I don't follow some of my favorite rappers because they don't follow me. But that's good to know that for people watching out on how to keep up. Now I said this years ago, and I've always went by this rule of if it's dope enough, it'll make its way to me. You know what I mean? So everything that people named outside of you, Porsche, you kind of went left with your top 5, but everything everybody else named, like I knew about. So I always feel like if it's dope enough people will tell me about it. Porsche, close your ears. This is how I found out about Drake years ago. Like everybody. I mean, dead ass. Like hood niggas was talking about Drake. Church people were telling me about Drake. Cornball niggas was telling me about Drake. Thorough niggas. I was like, yo, who the fuck is this Drake nigga? Like, everybody is telling me about Drake. So that's why I always mean by, if it's dope enough, I feel like, you know, it will definitely, you know, find its way to me. But that is good to know about IG. And one of the things you said, Veg, and a lot of people said about these, you said it, JR, about Robert Glasper, Vegas, you said about Shea Noir. Why do you think people aren't talking about it?
I could answer for my personal feeling about the Robert Glasper joint. I think the first Black Radio was so dope, especially with, you know, the singing and the renditions and shit like that.
Yep.
With Black Radio 3, I was hyped, and I love Killer Mike. But when that was like the first single, I'm like, yo, you're not Dilla. Like, relax.
Yeah.
Do the R&B shit. Because that's the shit that people loved about the first Black Radio. And a lot of that is on Black Radio 3. But if you heard that first single, you might have been turned off and said, oh, he doing this thing again. So let me just not listen.
Question, do you think naming it Black Radio 3 is a good thing or a bad thing? Because it's kind of like with King's Disease. It was like when they said KD2, I'm like, oh nigga, do y'all really want to roll the die? Like, do you really want to do a Stillmatic? So like, niggas are enjoying KD1. Do we really want to do KD2? Like, so do you think he's doing himself a disservice by naming it Black Radio 1, 2, 3, 4?
Well, I actually think I would disagree. I would say it's a good thing, and here is why. Because I've heard Robert Glasper on interviews before, right? And he's talked about how, like, him as a jazz artist, right? There's different types of fans of jazz, right? There's people who's like more traditional. There's people who like certain styles, and so I think with jazz, it's almost like, Kill, how you describe gospel artists, right?
I see what you're saying.
And you're saying like it has to be praise and worship.
You know exactly what it is.
You know exactly what you're getting.
Contemporary jazz stuff.
Right.
Makes perfect sense. Sense.
And that's why I think it's a good thing, because it's a series and you know kind of what you're getting.
What you're gonna get.
And he does other albums. He does other albums with his jazz ensemble, whatever, that might be completely different.
Makes perfect sense.
Well, I will say this. I think as the CCO of WBGO, I will say this. I think that's true for his, like, the Robert Glasper experiment, right? I think that's true for his other series. But Black Radio didn't start out with this much hip hop. And Black Radio 2 and, you know, the remix and stuff like that, I think he changed what the series meant to people. And I think that's what turned some people off, because it's, even though Black Radio 3 to me is way better than 2. And it's closer to Black Radio 1.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you have that lead single and it's like, oh
yeah, like I had no idea when you said Killer Mike. I'm like, why the fuck? It's like Eddie Murphy and Danny Terrio. I'm like, Robert Glasper, fuck are you hanging out with Killer Mike for? Like, so I'm just bugged by even hearing that Killer Mike is on Black Radio. You know what I mean? All right.
Yeah. And I think Q-Tip's on there too, but Q-Tip fits better.
With him and Esmeralda Spalding, it works.
Yeah, it fits way better.
Yeah,
Killer Mike, like, I feel like Robert needs to get with them Howard MCs, like the Most Def, the Talib, the Incense, the Locks, all that shit. Like,
because Common and that.
But Killer Mike is not of that vein.
It threw me off. Like, when I first heard it, I was like, for real? Like,
but again, here's the crazy part. Niggas hang around each other. They fuck with each other. Again, I've told the story about when I was like, yo, Guru, like, why the fuck y'all doing a song with Jodeci? He's like, nigga, we fucking like Jodeci. They get high, we get high, like, we fuck with them. Like, why not do something? I'm like, never thought about it like that. Like, everything doesn't have to be a sellout move or, like, you know, fuck you got case. And here's the thing with royalty. I don't even know what the fucking chorus is. You know, what is it? Wherever I go, whatever I do. I don't even know what the chorus is, but he said he wanted to fuck with Jodeci. So it's like,
but the song he picked with Killer Mike makes sense because the song is called Black Superhero. So what the rhymes he's kicking, it makes sense because we all would know what Killer Mike stands for. But if you're a fan of the black radio thing, you like, wait a minute, this don't fit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now, if he would have came out with the record with him and Layla in common, which it was a remake, it would have made a lot of sense. It would have been like, oh, okay, cool, this works. But to have Killer Mike on this, it was just like, it threw me off. I was a little worried. I was like, I don't know if I want to listen to this, to be honest. But then when I listened to it, I was like, to be honest, I could skip it. I don't got to listen to it. Like, I could be like...
That's like one of the first tracks on there anyway.
Yeah, it's track. Like, I skip it. I'll be like, I'm good.
And I think the thing is too, man, again, we're living in a disposable world that's never going to fucking change. You know, we're living in this world where there's more hype. I always say, if Outkast said today they're coming out with an album, Valentine's Day 2023, every day up until Valentine's Day for the next 3 months, it'd be Outkast, favorite moments, all the oh my god, I can't wait, I can't wait. The album would drop on Valentine's Day, and by February 17th, we'd be like, and we won't be talking about it. And it's amazing to me that we will talk about an album for 3 months and then it drops and we talk about it for 48 to 72 hours. You know, and I get why Andre is like, why do we want to even rhyme? Do you know how much time it takes to put into, you know, writing rhymes and coming up with beats and coming up for songs for people to only listen to it and give it love for 72 fucking hours? Especially when you're coming from an era where people would love it for years. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Quimini drops and people were talking about it for years. Like, to imagine you put all that work into making a Quimini and it drops Friday and niggas ain't even talking about it a week later. You know, it's almost like a slap in the face. Like grandma making all this Thanksgiving Day cooking. You eat one piece of turkey and then you like, all right, I'm done. She gonna be looking like, nigga, I've been in that kitchen for 2 days and y'all niggas better eat this food. You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, we just gonna eat this. We just gonna try the mac and cheese. All right, we good. It's like, so it's almost like a smack in the face. And I don't think people who are fans understand that, but I'm sure Vegas can attest to it. I'm sure I attest to it, that you're putting all this time and effort into making this music. What's the album cover gonna look like? What's the release date? And you know, me and Vegas go back and forth. What you want the first single to be? And okay, what you want the video to be? Like, you're going through all that work to just have somebody listen to it and not talk about it ever again after a week. And these are fucking big name artists. Kendrick dropped, and this nigga's one of the biggest artists in the world. And a week later, it was done. So what's me and Vegas gonna get? We be good for 12 hours. Like, damn, dude. You know, so you do all this work to just get a week's worth of love. Like, it's a hard pill to swallow. So I think that's that. Rel, let them know what's going on, good brother. Where can they get at you?
Uptown Rel 215 on Instagram, JBen215 on Twitter.
Veg, where can they get at you, good brother, to get this podcast of the year in their eardrums?
All right, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at Vegas World INC. And check out my podcast. I don't know if you see that. We got new merch, Hip Hop Now podcast for 2023, which will also finally be a video and audio, but video version of the podcast from the Dungeons of Rap. You'll know the season by my clothes because right now it's fucking cold. So the garage get cold, y'all. Shit. I did one video back in the days. I had a fucking coat on. I was like, yo, you either gotta come out the garage, bro, or go somewhere else in the house because you got a fucking coat on now. Like, I didn't give it to you either. I had a coat and hat. I was just like, this album was. Well, yeah, man. You know, Hip Hop Now podcast available wherever you get your podcasts. You can subscribe today if you heard it. Definitely on Apple Podcasts. Shout out to the people who reviewed it on Apple, because I told people to do that shit years ago. Because I think I had one review, and then I never checked. And now I look and I got all these damn reviews. And I'm like, oh shit, I got a perfect 5. Like, who the fuck wrote all this shit? Like, because I forgot. But yeah, man, it's dope to do. And one of the reasons, and I didn't say this earlier, that I brought the podcast back is how I'm. First of all, 2 or 3 years from now will be 10 years of Hip Hop Now podcast. But more importantly, next year is the 50th anniversary of hip hop. How could I not do my podcast? At least for that year. So I got a lot of special things in the can, and one, I'll tell people later, but I'll tell y'all once we're not recording, because I want to bring on guests for this special video series. So.
All right, no doubt. Eddie, where can I get at you, good brother?
Yo, I am in the studio with Rel Trevisan. You know, I'm working on our R&B collab hour.
Treviston. Rel Trevisman. You gotta get. Come on, Christian. We gotta get this going, man.
R&B album is coming.
Yeah. Ghetto. What am I saying? What is the name of that album? JR Ghetto Cyrano.
Yes.
We're gonna follow that up. We aren't gonna duplicate. We are going to beg. What's the word?
What you talking about?
How you said with the follow-up. We're not gonna duplicate. We are gonna compliment. Right. Ghetto Cyrano 2 coming soon.
But yeah, man, you can catch me on Twitter at 80D80, Instagram Freestyles. Yeah, man.
All right, JR, what's going on? The youngest in charge. You got a new video dropping.
Yes, the video will be out by the time this is a Flashback Friday, and I'm talking about the solo career of David Ruffin and Rob Tresvant. Funny, and I'm just gonna be talking about how I feel like they solo careers deserved a little more. And then I'm gonna talk about why maybe they didn't get a lot of love and all that good stuff. And I played my top 5 songs from them, but it's a dope video. So definitely check that out. Check out me and Elise, the R&B Reps, of course. We got some dope videos coming in the new year. Check out our live on Wednesdays. We're gonna wrap up 2022. We got some things in store, so I'm really excited about it. So just follow us on R&B Reps. JR's World of Soul on Instagram, JR's World of Soul on Twitter, and also JR's World of Soul on YouTube.
All right, Porsche, where can they get at you?
Just on Twitter at Cherche La Porsche. And on Tuesdays we do Twitter Spaces. We're getting back into the swing of things after I've, just come out of being crazily busy with school. So that'll become more regular. But yeah, check us out Tuesdays at 9:15 Eastern Time. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time and 6:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
All right. No doubt. You already know what it is. Kill 889 Twitter, IG. Prayerfully, me and JR are going to be doing some Twitter Spaces, some follow-ups to his Flashback Fridays, where I simply sit back and ask this nigga R&B questions, and he fucking answers them. Gets no simpler than that. So, there you go. So, I will catch y'all next week, y'all.